RKW on 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I am Will Bowling, Robert Walsh, Reed Smith, Kirby Allen Kirby, our crew that makes us sound pretty. 615-737-1045. How you jump in. A busy morning from the table at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We will be joined by Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan at 8 o'clock. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, at 8:20, and we might even get a Ron Slay appearance. The stars are out on a Tuesday at training camp. Good morning.
Good morning, man. Make us sound pretty that's a nice description right there, Will. You know, we also have faces for TV, right, Kayla?
I did TV for a while, so I guess so.
I've done it on TV. Will does it on TV, so we're not that type of crew that, hey, you got a face.
Right.
No, we sound beautiful and we also look beautiful on this beautiful padded Tuesday. Okay,
that's right. The padded part is what we're getting excited about.
Yes, we are, man. Yes, the dulcet sounds of lawnmowers is up and ready to go. Dulcet, is that good?
Dulcet tones.
Dulcet tones of.
Either way,
after further review, the ruling on the field.
English understanding of phrases. Flag on the play, Kirby. Flag on the play. Never mind then. All right, the lawnmowers are going, which means we're back out here at Titans training camp. Okay.
It is nice though this morning. The clouds.
So far,
it feels like I'm stuffed under a pillow.
I mean, we're always going to be sticky in Tennessee.
You gonna hold them down while you're stuffing with this pillow? No. Yes.
Okay. But it is. We do have a little sunshine, which we haven't seen out here since we've been out here last week. At least it had been overcast all those days. It looks like a little bit of sun coming out here this morning.
Yeah, word of the day probably will be hydration, okay, because it's going to be a steamer today out here on the practice field. But guess what? I don't have cleats and neither do you guys, so I don't have to worry about practice, all right?
Just faces for radio.
Yes.
Robert Walsh, welcome back.
What's going on?
Everything since you left.
Oh, yeah. What did Reed mess up on?
Everything.
Throw him under the bus. Come on. Hit me with it.
He's pretty quiet always.
He is pretty quiet, man, but he's got this slick smirk about him that I'm just like, wipe that off your face.
I don't like that, Kaylee. Reed's pretty quiet. He actually lets us do our job.
First it was NWI. That's back burner coffee. No, she didn't call it back burner coffee.
That's just what you have to do when you're filling in. I like when I had substitute teachers, I think they're a little bit looser sometimes, but at the same time, they can't do everything that the main teacher does and get away with
Reed
it, right?
is rolling in the cart and playing Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Now, he did have good
from 6
music.
to 10.
Reed always has good music.
Well,
really
we talked
Ramon
yesterday
told me
about
I get ox.
Yeah,
he does.
Robert plays boring music for us, so we don't talk about it and sing over it.
I didn't know that.
When we come back from break.
Oh, no, who made that damn decision? But it's time to be over with now. Yeah, absolutely. It's time to end that decision. Because,
once football comes back, it's all gas, no brakes.
I know. I heard 3HL went back to turn it. It was when Car ain't got no roof again because we're that close we're that close to the season again, man. It's coming through the veins, and everybody's somehow excited about it.
I will say, the word of the day does not need to be hydration. Since there will be fans out here, it is muggy, it is hot. The word needs to be deodoration. You need to break out the Secret, break out the Old Spice, break out whatever brand you like doing. Non-aluminum, whatever it is, whatever goes on in your pits, you need to take full recollection of that and come out here prepared because it is muggy. Your pit's about to be muggy today if you're not prepared.
It literally feels like someone has taken a pillow and has put it over your face. And
You've had this happen, huh?
No, it's just what it feels like.
What did Wes do to you?
I am an enterprising journalist. I have the ability as a radio professional to describe things in ways that the audience can see and feel.
It feels
what I do for a living.
It feels like they're beating you with a soap bar and a sock right now. That's
what it felt like.
Full metal jacket going on.
I heard
like
projection right there.
The last breaths of my life.
So don't like that. Y'all are all louder than me. You can all talk over me much more easily while we're out here today. It's just like any other day. It's just easier for you to do it now.
Well, now we know to put a pillow over your face, man. Like, goodness. Kirby keeps giving the demonstration of it, though.
Kirby, have you done this before?
Well, it's like when if you were in a room that was too light and you were trying to go to sleep and you would put a blanket over your face to try to block out all the light, but then you couldn't breathe very well, so then you would just not do it and then try to sleep with light. That's what it feels like.
Yes. By the way, it's the hardest thing ever for me. I'm not a napper anyway. I've always said that. But to try when the lights come in, I might as well get up and walk away.
You got blackout shade money. You'd be fine.
Well, No, we do not, Will. We broke out here, baby, okay?
I got blackout shade money, right? That's like $30 on Amazon.
Look at the rich guy.
$30 on Amazon. 615-737-1045. Ramon feels his Wheaties this morning because I said, honestly, we all just need to get out of the way and let Ramon Foster do the interview with Bill Callahan. Y'all just need to talk shop and let us shut up.
I do have a question for him. I've been waiting to ask him. Hey.
Yeah. I'll get out of the way then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you don't want me to ask a question, I'll just sit
go
there.
ahead.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. But
we're here to do a radio show.
The audience needs Ramon and Bill Callahan talking shop. That is what the best iteration of our show with the O-line Jesus is this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited for. I've spoken to him before, had small talk with him, but to ask him questions, man, I got no problem with it. We can format this thing however y'all want to. I'm just glad that I get an opportunity for y'all to see Big Coach, and Big Coach is probably it's a surprise to see. It's not stature, it's presence. Okay, when he walk up on you, he's Big Coach for a reason, man. So I'm excited to have him sit down with us. I wonder would Coach Mack come over and give him a big smack on the chest, which we caught on picture too, by the way. Rich, he ended up our promotions manager, right? Is that Rich's
promotions
title?
Director.
Yep. He caught a still shot of Coach Mack slapping the heck out of Rand's chest, man, and it was vicious, man. Coach Matt got those football paw hands, okay?
Guys being dudes.
Paws, yeah.
I know
Don't piss him off.
I know we've got a limited amount of time, but you think
here's Bert talking again. Nah. Where's Reed? Nah, I can't.
Yeah, they missed it. You could take over, Reed. Do you think we could get him to review my pass set? You think I could do my kick set for him, and he could tell me how bad it is?
Oh, I can tell you, but I'd much rather him tell you how bad. You won't believe me. You won't believe
me. So Kayla and I will go watch practice. Bert and Ramon will interview Bill Callahan.
I want to hear him get his big voice on you. Like, Bert, that looks like crap.
Yeah, you're pushing him the whole time.
Exactly.
Like, get
now get Bert over here.
No, of course we'll all interview him. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, we will, man. He's good and thorough, though.
We'll be asking the basic stuff, and Ramon's like, all right, so when you're in when you're pulling from right to left and you're running that base attack, you're running this base offense, where do you want me? Teach me to forklift a nose tackle for me real quick here live on Zone TV.
Do you mind if it's a drop step or jump step?
Ramon's going to sit down. Ramon's going to go, how much do you hate defensive players? Because I still despise them.
That's the conversation I want to have, okay? But that's a long format.
Do you hate Jeffrey Simmons already, too? Because, man, I'm ready. Oh, man.
Those are the things that we have to talk about, man, when given time, too. So I'm glad he gave us his time. Another guy I'd love to have a conversation with, too, because we've spoken so much about his group, and I've said this before, but Tracy Rocker is just as interesting as Coach Bill Callahan, too. Mm-hmm. I think that's one in the near future we need to have a sit-down with, considering all we've talked about is Tavondre Sweat, So
yeah.
I love to have his insight, and not just him. It's a good group of young talent around him also. So looking forward to this sit-down. And the Vot shows up today.
Right. Voice the Titans, Mike Keith at 8:20, and it sounds like Ron Slay maybe graces us with his presence.
Because his guilty indulgence, is football.
That's right.
Right.
It really is. Right. He said it was football until he got cracked and broke his wrist, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. So there's always that. Football make more basketball players than any other sport.
The task for him is, can he get here in time through all the fans that are going to be wanting to, drum it up with him?
Yeah.
Get a little, maybe a signature, pat a baby on the head,
Pictures.
All the things.
He will be signing babies and shaking hands.
Yeah,
sure.
he will, man. Hopefully 6'6" shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
6'8" shoulders?
6'6".
615-737-1045 is our number, and we will hear from Titans assistant coaches coming up next. Who are you watching most closely as the pads go on? Bill Callahan spoke to the media yesterday and talked about a couple of guys we'll highlight for you next. Tuesday morning, kicking off the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. If you got a Titans question for us this morning, live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Titans Training Camp 2024. Bill Callahan at 8, Mike Keith at 8:20, and Ron Slay at 9:20, and immediately, wherever you listen to podcasts, as soon as their headset hits the table, after they talk with us. Who are you most interested to watch this morning, guys?
You know that answer.
Do I?
Yeah.
Give me one player.
T'Vondre Sweat.
That's not who I would have guessed. So
really?
I thought he was going to say an offensive line.
I would have also said I would have said John Ajuku's first.
Well, yeah.
Practice would have been most interesting.
That's the thing about it. Like with a guy like him, it's going to be a long, drawn out process on how you evaluate him for the most part. A good day for him is just okay. A great day for him is just okay also. He's got to have 4, 5, 6 straight great days, or at least out of 8 days, give me 6 really good days for you to be able to judge a guy like him, because he can come out here and be really good on day one and then crap the bed from there on out. You know what I'm saying? And that's a position I always say, and it's unfair. It just is the way it is. But offensive linemen can have 70 great plays, and on the 71st one, he give up a sack, and it's a bad day for him. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason I say I'm judging him over the long haul as opposed to saying day one, bang, he killed it. Like, no, on day one, I can see T'Vondre Sweat be dominant. I can see if his conditioning is good enough to go play after play. I can see if he has a plan for a pass rush, because defensive players get more stuff in spurts as opposed to over the long haul of a game, of practice, and a season.
Yeah, and I agree. I think everybody will probably keep their eye on John Ajuku, just because that is an open spot right now of competition, and now we have a timeline, at least a little bit more of a timeline, with Nicholas Petit-Frere potentially getting back on rehab assignment, according to Bill Callahan, on Friday, and maybe we can get into that a little bit more with him.
10 seconds.
Yeah, but I would say that I'm interested in some of these young guys now in pads, like for their first time in full pads in an NFL training camp. Some of those guys, you talked about defensive players. We talked about Gabe Jeudy-Lally, who's trying to make this team. Like, how does he continue to progress with, again, Chidobe Awuzie out with that calf injury right now? He's going to continue to get some reps, some extra reps. And then how about Jarvis Brownlee Jr.? Yeah. I think he's, up to this point, been a pretty aggressive player in camp. I like to see, now you get the pads on. What do you see from some of these guys? But also J.C. Latham. I mean, he is a rookie. He has looked good for the most part. Now, how do we take it up another level with the rookie in the pads, where you're going to feel the pressure on the other ends now? I think that will be really interesting to see him and how he kind of reacts with that.
Yeah.
Bill Callahan said they are mixing and matching different guys at right tackle at the moment. Says everyone has gotten a little bit of exposure there behind John Ajuku, who continues to work with the top group. This was the Titans offensive line coach talking about NPF and talking about the open practice over the weekend as he gets ready for padded practices today.
Yeah, I was hoping he would be back. I think we're going to push his rehab back a little bit to Friday. Hopefully we can get him back and then accelerate from there. Back in Cleveland, I had a number of tackles that, started the year on PUP. So it's that situation where it's a fine line. He's getting all the classroom walkthrough type work, but he needs to get on the field and practice, which he'll get to. I'm not concerned about that. More importantly, it's getting him back into a groove where he can communicate and get into his pass sets and get that timing down, because that's critically important.
Him at the head of the line at right time?
I don't know. In all honesty and fairness to everybody, I've reserved all my comments on the evaluation process until we've seen him in pads, seen him, obviously in a preseason game, and interact with them on the bench and see them make adjustments and see how they handle the pressure of game day. That being said, I thought Saturday's practice in the stadium was really good for that atmosphere. It was very game-like for the players. They got a sense of, the crowd communicating in noise, being on their own away from, not having coaches behind them. So that was real beneficial.
There is Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan yesterday. Of course, he will join us at 8 o'clock this morning. NPF possibly back soon. Will not be back today. Will not be back tomorrow. I mean, there's no way the guy goes to the front of the line the first day he's out here at Pats.
Heck no.
No shot.
Heck no. And see, I was thinking about this yesterday, too. I heard a little bit of his audio yesterday. And that was one of those situations where at this right tackle spot, even if MPF was out here, claiming a starter is not fair to anybody. And Bill Callahan said that, right? Like, nobody in this group has the benefit of the doubt of being a starter also. Like, MPF gave us 1 year, his rookie year. That was a learning year. I think we've all somewhat learned that anyway. Like, whatever you do in your rookie year, fine, cool, great start. Good way to walk up the ladder a little bit, but can you back that up in year two? And he wasn't able to do that because of the suspension and then the injury soon after that. So the idea that, hey, NPF is a guy that can walk in, I'll give her, for instance, my 8th year in the league. My 9th year in the league, I ended up having a hyperextended knee, second day of practice. Didn't practice the entire training camp. The idea was for me, as soon as I get healthy, it was my spot again. You know what I'm saying? Because I had already become a starter. I'll never forget, in 2014, my mom passed, right? And I missed the early beginnings of training camp. Funeral happens. I'm going to training camp, and I start training camp off, and you know what happens? Coach walks up to me. How you feeling? You okay? You ready to practice? Yes, sir. Go to left guard. It was that simple. There was no question behind. NPF doesn't have enough in coaches' emotional data bank, or for that matter, the NFL database, right, to be able to say, hey, NPF, hey, move back, John Njoku. I know you was an undrafted guy. He doesn't have that type of flex right now. So it's right on Coach Callahan to say, hey, look, no, everybody's got to wait their turn. And right now, John Njoku's been here. He's been efficient. He's done every single thing you want him to do as far as being that type of pro, which is also one more thing, too, Caleb, before I throw it off the backboard for you here, too, is this. This is why he brought up the preseason games and what they mean. This is why I'm hoping the NFL and the NFLPA come up with a better system of having games in the preseason, because a lot of other players can get by with just routes on air or quarterbacks throwing or DN showing that they can get to the, to the ball and stuff. But the evaluation, some positions, special teamers, O-line, linebackers, I think also need those live reps inside of the stadium. That's where hearing Coach Callahan say that, and I know he's a bit of an old school guy, but he's trending in a new school way, right? Those games mean and matter a lot to these types of coaches, and even for the young D linemen too. So I was glad he somewhat said, I need to judge them inside the stadium.
Yeah, I like him being honest about the whole entire process right now, because I don't think it's easy for anybody to evaluate exactly what's going to be, the end scenario, the starting right tackle at this point. You just can't, because like he even said, John Njoku, who has been available, and look, he's made the most of every opportunity, I believe.
That's usually the first thing, and Caleb, be here.
Exactly, be here and, be continuing to progress in what you're doing. It seems like he's doing that. I agree, though, when Nicholas Petit-Frere comes out here for his rehab, when they potentially start on Friday, which, by the way, we are not allowed to be out here on Friday. The rehab is also, what's the getting revved up process like for him too? Is he going to just be putting him right out there in pads?
I can give you an answer.
Yeah, because I would like to know that.
It wasn't this long of a ramp up,
right?
So I came in, Kayla, from my mom's funeral, and I think I was supposed to have 2 days of acclimation, and that day I showed up was actually the second day in pads. So he was like,
okay, so similar.
Do you want to go into this? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And for me, it was therapy for me also.
Yeah.
But I do think in today's NFL, somebody from the NFL or NFLPA is going to say, hey, he still needs a ramp up. And maybe his active acclimation period right now through rehab is partially part of that. But, Kayla, I jumped right in. And it was necessary for that moment right there. But for a guy like NPF with an injury,
right, the scope.
This is a little bit different, right? He's got some time.
Right, and I'd hope that maybe they are doing a lot of that behind the scenes. We haven't seen him out here, but that doesn't mean that he's not ready to go, possibly when they put him out here on the field, Friday and beyond. But you'd like for them to do that.
If you were him, would you want to have an acclimation, or would you want to go right into it?
If I feel healthy, I want to get right into it, because I've missed too much time on the field. Like Callahan said, the classroom's one thing, and he's not worried about MBF in the classroom work.
Right.
He wants him to be acclimated out here, the timing, all the things that go along with it, the chemistry part of it, right? And so the earlier I can get out here, if I'm feeling good to go, I'm out here. I'm in my pads.
You jumping right in, Will, if it's you?
I mean, you don't want to re-injure yourself again and then make it even worse.
That too. That's the smart answer right there.
I think
I'm an idiot.
But we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes.
That's true.
You know.
I think there's a healthy balance between he needs to show a little bit of fight, and a little bit of fire, and no disrespect to Nicholas Petit-Frere, that's not his personality, and he's going to have to get outside of his cerebral, a bit more soft-spoken personality right now to take his job back, because it's not going to be given to him. There are enough options at right tackle that if John Ojukwu messes up, he's still not second in line. If Jalen Duncan messes up, he might not even still be third in line.
Right.
I mean, you've got Jaron Christian, you've got Leroy Watson, and you've got a plethora of players who are on the fringes of rosters around the league who could easily be brought here for a 6th-round pick swap or a 7th-round pick swap or a pick to be named later that's conditional based on if you make the roster or not. So NPF has got to push the envelope a little bit in a way that I don't think he would in a dream circumstance. Mm-hmm. And that's tricky, right? Because you don't want to re-injure something that is just being rehabbed back and is just being brought back, because then you're back to square one with the gambling suspension to where you have no path back. So it's tricky without knowing the minutia of the specifics of the injury, how much pain the guy is in, what he feels right now. Does he feel 100%? Because I think there's going to have to be at least a week of ramping yourself back up again.
Right.
Because if he plays in preseason and is great, then he will earn reps with the ones. No question. So I think you can't rush. You got to hurry but not rush, whatever the John Wooden quote is.
And we didn't know, the timeline of the knee scope either. We just found this out at the start of training camp, that it was not the shoulder and it was a procedure he had done, on the knee. So we don't even know. Maybe he did that a month ago, right? Mm-hmm. And the process had been going on with the rehab process of the scope, because you have had a scope.
Yeah, I had it, and it's about 2 weeks. These days with surgery, you get moving the very next day.
It's crazy.
But it's a matter of how much it gets inflamed, your pain tolerance, and how you go about strengthening everything around that knee as it pertains to the movements he's going to have to make. Like, his biggest issue is going to be, all right, when I put those pads on, to Will's point, does it blow back up? Mm-hmm. And that's where, for him, being a hero in these moments in training camp will not benefit him. As it stands right now, he's got 11 days to actually get up to a full speed, just rhythm to where he can go out there and practice and play. The 11 days is August 10th. That's the first preseason game, which, again, he'll have the luxury of being at home.
Right.
He doesn't have to worry about flying out somewhere, rehabbing. He can rehab all day up until about 2 o'clock and start driving over to the stadium on that Saturday. So there's a lot that can go his way if he does pace it right. But, Well, to your point, depending on where he's at in this rehab, to me, it does somewhat matter if he goes out too early and he's not ready.
Yeah. Bill Callahan spoke yesterday about J.C. Latham as well. For me, he's the player I am watching most closely today as he puts pads on for the first time at an NFL practice. This was Big Coach evaluating how his rookie tackle's done so far.
I think pretty good. I think right now he's working on all the nuances and all the detail of the spot. There's some things that always come up for rookies that are a little bit different that they haven't experienced. So we're trying to give him as much exposure as we can, and try to accelerate his progress. No, but he's doing well. It's taxing mentally, to absorb the content of all the installations and all the protections and techniques that go hand in hand. But by and large, he's done a pretty decent job.
How much of it?
Ramon Foster, when Bill Callahan says he is working on the nuances of the position, what does that mean?
That was, remember last week when he jumped out super fast on Arden Key and Arden Key beat him to the inside? It's understanding what that is. Okay, what is my quick set going to look like? What is my jump set going to look like? He understands the book and the technique of everything, right? It is, in this moment, do I need to jump straight back in my pass set? How aggressive do I need to be in the run game? Like, these are all things that go through your mind within like a split second of the play of the quarterback saying set height. Mm-hmm. So those nuances is essentially what Coach Callahan is speaking of, is learning what you can and cannot get away with. And for offensive linemen, that is so crucial, because one, overset means your quarterback get his head knocked off, right? If you if you come out underselling your run blocks, guess what? That's a tackle for loss. These are the types of things that you have to worry about. And the other side of it, too, is his work with Peter Skoronski.
Yeah.
How quickly can they get on the same page? What is their communication like? Because here's the thing. It's two young guys, too. It's not like Peter Skoronski in year 4 or 5 and you say, hey, I got you right here.
And I know, Kayla, they talked on Saturday at the open practice about those two getting pretty close already, and they're enjoying working together.
Yeah, they're definitely on the same page, and I love to see that. And that, I think you started to feel in mandatory minicamp when we talked to Peter Skoronski at the end of it. He had some really good things to say about him. I just think he respects the rookie's work ethic.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, everything.
The work is what gets
you
in the
door. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
It is, and that's everything that J.C. Latham has proven to his coaches and his other teammates out here is he is putting in the work. I will ask you this though, Ramon. We heard Bill Callahan say there are going to be some struggles here and there when you are a rookie. Specifically, what would be like one of the things you would point out as a rookie that's tough, offensive line speak?
Yeah.
And you're going to see it sometimes. He's not going to be perfect.
Kayla,
Maybe just tell us what was easy. That would be a shorter answer. We don't have time in the segment to go on the what all sort. I'm kidding.
Ooh-wee, Kayla, what a question right there, because I'm laughing because I'm like, I hadn't seen anybody rush like this before. I've never felt a person be this strong like this before.
Yeah.
I've never had one of my own teammates say, you dumb bleeping rookie, get over here. Like, it's all of that now. Yeah. Yeah. Can I say the other words?
No, you cannot.
I cannot say those words.
I'd like to finish the show so you can talk to Big Coach.
So because of that, I gotta say bleeping like I play with Justin Hartwig, okay, and the former Titan here, okay. Mm-hmm. And Wig is more of your teammates when you got older ones that are harder on you, and it creates that level of just like anxiety. I keep using that word because it's crucial to the play of these guys. But it makes everything heightened. It takes you to a tunnel to where, hey, I can only do this and I can only do that. But simply saying, though, Kayla, it's what you've never seen before. It's guys who every single one of them have long arms or quick or strong or powerful. Every single one of them have a rush plan. Every single one of them know how to beat you because you're too dumb and young to understand what they've already learned and forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So it's such a mental gymnastic of trying to make sure I'm only in this tunnel. If it's 25 zone for J.C. Latham, step left, step right, inside point of the shoulder pads, bring both my hands.
Sure.
That's all he needs to worry about because there is so much that you don't know, and it can be very worrisome, Kayla.
Sure.
Especially if you get beat and you can't chase it back to stop them. And everybody at some point, for a guy like J.C. Latham, rookies, because we saw Peter Skoronski go through it.
We did.
Every single rookie have these types of moments. So it's normal, and that's why I'm really somewhat tempering my expectation on how much better this offensive line is going to be this year, too.
615-737-1045, how you join us. Elsewhere around NFL training camps, there is trouble in paradise, as an angry quarterback was described as being, quote, hotter than the sticky New Jersey weather. We'll take you to the latest at a Jets camp coming up next.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Tuesday morning on Dermode, Kayla, and Will continues here on 104.5 The Zone. It's not as big as a Super Bowl, but it's pretty big when Pats go on for the first time. 615-737-1045. July 29th. Oh, I thought you asked when the first time Aaron Rodgers blew up on his teammate was.
Oh, I was looking.
Oh, I thought that already happened.
At New York Jets training camp. It did yesterday. The Jets saw the fiery side of Aaron Rodgers. According to reports, he threw an interception on the second play of Jets training camp. Couldn't be my quarterback. A well-thrown ball reportedly off the hands of Allen Lazard. There were a handful of sacks, a half dozen off-target shotgun snaps from Joe Tippmann that forced Rodgers to jump for the ball. Oh, quarterback has to jump. I thought football was easy. On another play, he was livid after falling to the ground. Thank you. When a lineman, it was either Tippmann or John Simpson, stepped on his foot. Allen Lazard said, demonstrative is a good word for the way Rodgers was yesterday. Trouble in paradise in New Jersey. Big deal? Small deal?
Big deal. I'm going to go big deal on this one because it's Aaron Rodgers yelling and fussing at his super young teammates, okay? Hey, old guy, get with the young crowd, okay? So here's also this. You got Joe Tippmann, who's a new player for them as of last year. Drafted in the second round last year. He played last year, Aaron. You didn't, okay? You look at that situation right there, trying to get into the swing of things as it pertains to the snap count. QB center exchange is one of the most important things that you can have happen on the practice field. Aaron Rodgers, that ain't no reason for you to blow up at him. Again, this guy's got 300-pounders in front of him that's trying to run down his face to protect you. You think berating him is the smartest thing to do, Aaron? No. I think as far as his teammates concerned, he can't do these things moving forward because what will happen is it's more of them than it is of him. I know he has this love affair with everybody in the media and just his I guess his legend of being Aaron Rodgers, right? If we just get him to the game, he's going to be great. What you can't do is take your teammates down that dark alley of publicly shaming them when y'all got crowds there and reporters to doing that type of stuff. It's early in training camp, Aaron. Like, you can talk to him about those types of things. None of these stats matter right now, but yet he's blowing up. And it's honestly, and I hate it too, it's probably for a reaction. And it's Aaron Rodgers-like things, man. Don't go at nobody when you had a year off last year, okay, even if it was an injury.
I mean, maybe he was just ticked off because, they gave Jordan Love a contract in Green Bay. Maybe he just took it out on his own team with the New York Jets, knowing.
You want that old thing
right?
back?
In all seriousness, though, it's a medium deal to me just because Aaron Rodgers has not proven anything with the New York Jets yet. And his teammates don't give a damn what he did in Green Bay in terms of his accolades there. Yes, the type of quarterback he was there, they hope he can be here. But it's not like they're like, oh, you did all these things here and we're going to bow down to you. Like, they know who Aaron Rodgers is, right? They know his laundry list of accolades. But what can you do now? Now that you're, 40 years old, you've had an Achilles injury. We continue to say, hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to get it done. Like, okay, let's see it happen now. And I think you're at that fine line with Aaron Rodgers where he's got to go out here and prove it. And, this is a guy who didn't come to minicamp. Whether that's a big deal to those players or not, I have no idea. I'm not in that locker room. Yeah. But, these are just little things that sometimes they add up. And you're at camp, like you said, and he blows up in front of everybody when this is really his first full week of kind of being out there. And, I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know what his teammates think of him right now because he hasn't been able to prove it with them. He's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still going to be, when it's all said and done, one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. But what if he doesn't get it done with them? And right now, there's nothing to say he is that quarterback right now.
I'll tell you what. I know that O-line group chat was on fire that night, though.
When you got pissed off?
I think his teammates absolutely care what he did in Green Bay. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. Like, you're not going to go sign up to be a New York Jet unless you feel like there is somebody who is bringing you a star that is like, all right, I just want to team up with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, I feel like it's so hard to comment on these things without seeing them because if we watched Will Levis blow up on the offense, like how many of us would, of the fans would be here, oh, I love the leadership. I love the personality. He's getting his guys ready. Like, that opinion would be out there amongst fans of like, oh, I just love it. He's a leader. Like, that's what Aaron Rodgers is doing. He's just kind of a jerk.
Aaron just has done so many things that are about Aaron that at some point it rubs people wrong. And I think that's the difference here, is that it's always about Aaron. It's not really about the New York Jets or, the team as a whole. It continues to be about Aaron. And so it's like, whether this is something he wants to do to, get in the headlines, I have no idea how that man's mind works, because it works in a very weird way.
Yeah.
But I think right now, early on, whatever, you're going to get past it. But if he doesn't continue to prove himself, I think there's going to be an issue there.
He can't be publicly berating guys like that if that was the case. And I understand, hey, it gets the people going and folks fired up and stuff, but he got to go back in that room with those guys. And more importantly, when you start to lose those dudes, that's tough sledding, get it back. Like what Kayla's saying is this: he better go make some plays. And I don't care who he is, too. Like, his legacy, it ain't on the line because he's got 3-4 league MVPs, but he's got to play well in this New York market. If he can stay healthy and this doesn't go as well for him, then that's a knock somewhat to his legacy, his play. It's almost like it's almost like Brett Favre-ish in a sense. Like, he's following that same trajectory as far as moving to another city and trying to become an item there. He's personally done a lot.
Yeah.
The team is where he needs to really step it up.
If I'm the Jets, a diva, Aaron Rodgers is still a way better option than anyone else who is available to them.
You're not wrong in that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not mad Zach Wilson's not there anymore. Yeah. That's for sure.
Eric in Nashville, 615-737-1045. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. And, Kayla, you kind of mentioned on the head, because, in fact, the program that was before you, I guess the National Feed, I guess it's Two Pros and a couple of Joes, they got into this discussion, and they did mention the fact that Jordan Love got that money, and they were thinking that they played a part in that when Aaron Rodgers says, well, why did they reward like that after such a just small sample size? And also the fact that you've got, new teammates who, they probably know who he is, but now this generation, they don't care about that. Also the fact they mentioned I don't know if this has anything to do with it, the fact that Brett Favre also played the Jets, and even though they didn't make the playoffs, I think his first year there, they were 9-7, had a winning record,
Yeah.
So I think the pressure of all of that is just kind of weighing on him, and I think he wants it to go well, because whether or not it's fair, if this doesn't go well, then that's a taint on his legacy. And I know he's realized the pressure with all these media people like Mike Greenberg. People says, Dan Orlovsky, this team is definitely, if they're healthy, and he plays this level, there's Super Bowl contender, all this type of stuff. But you got to remember, the last 2 years, he was hurt last year after 4 players, and the year before that, he didn't have a good season. So, they're thinking he's going to be Aaron Rodgers of old, when he could just be an old Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see what happens, because they're going to be out on him after this year. And I really feel bad for is Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, because they're going to be the ones who are going to bear the brunt of all this. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, E.
Man, I'm glad we host a Nashville show and not a national show, so we can just have a 5-minute Aaron Rodgers legacy discussion without having to spend any more time on that.
I'm telling you, national people love that storyline.
Yeah, they do.
Coming up next, hour number 2 of the show, we will tell you what Bill Callahan had to say yesterday about pads going on and the biggest differences between last week's practices and today's. That's next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you looking to check some items off of your home to-do list? Of course you are. My list is a little bit too long at the moment. Maybe you're like me. You're looking to freshen up your home's look before hosting friends and family for a cookout. Well, available 24/7, 365. The Lee Company Home Improvement Professionals, they have you covered. When company's coming over, they're going to make sure your house is looking spotless. From pressure washing your driveway or deck, drywall repairs, they can do that. Landscape lighting, painting, and more. Lee Company is truly all you need. You hand them your to-do list. They get things done for you. And you got to contact them today at 615-567-1000 or visit them online at leecompany.com to schedule your appointment. That's leecompany.com for all your home improvement needs this summer. 615-567-1000. All you need for your summer: pressure washing, drywall repairs, you name it, they will take care of it for you. That's Lee Company. all you need.
7:01. Good morning from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp. I am Robert Walsh. Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan gave an update on NPF, who has missed all of training camp to date due to an off-season knee scope.
Yeah, I was hoping he would be back. I think we're going to push his rehab back a little bit to Friday. Hopefully we can get him back and then accelerate from there. Back in Cleveland, I had a number of tackles that, started the year on PUP. So it's a situation where it's a fine line. He's getting all the classroom walkthrough type work, but he needs to get on the field and practice, which he'll get to.
Texans defensive end, former Titan, former Colt. He's played for 3/4 of the AFC South. Danico Autry being suspended for 6 games for violating the NFL's policy against performance-enhancing drugs. He released a statement saying, quote, "It was important to me that the NFL know that I did not intentionally or even knowingly ingest a banned substance." Save that one for me, Reed, when I get in trouble at work. Colts veteran defensive end Samson Ebukam, who went down in practice yesterday, tore his Achilles. Tough start for the defender. Started all 17 games last year for the Colts, finishing with a career-high 9.5 sacks. And a new deal in Detroit. Lions left tackle Taylor Decker reached an agreement for a 3 year, $60 million extension. Decker entering the last year of his deal, scheduling to pay him just $13 million. He is now under contract through the 2027 season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Go on.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone rolls into hour number 2. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Coming up in exactly an hour, Bill Callahan will join us here at the table. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, coming up at 8:20. Ron Slay at 9:20 this morning. All of your phone calls throughout the show at 615-737-1045. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Robert Walsh and Kirby Allen Kirby on site. And Reed Smith back at our 104.5 The Zone studios. Broadcasting live from Tennessee Titans training camp today. The pads go on energy high. Vibes are good.
And I asked Ramon in the break, I said, the fans are out here today. The families are out here. We've got the roped off area. And he goes, I think they planned that strategically for first day in pads.
Right in front of your families, Kayla. I'll never forget our short yardage and goal line days were, hey, bring your families out. Yeah, on the hardest hitting day we're going to have. Short yardage. There's nothing but click-clack in there. And then you put us on the goal line for 7 plays against each other. Oh, all right. So your kids saw you bash each other, so let's go have a barbecue afterwards and jump into bouncy houses. Crazy,
That's
man.
That's football, baby.
But it's awesome. I will say I absolutely enjoyed my family coming out to practice, Ron coming out, having friends come through just because, man – one, you living out your dream. You having the ability, if you have kids or a wife, like them riding that wave with you. And that's one thing I appreciated about my boys, and my wife. I had my boys early in life compared to some, and they were able to grow up in the locker room. They were able to see Dad do work, and I don't have to just show them, YouTube clips of offensive linemen. Like, hey, that was me. That was me right there. So, because I have no stats other than starts,
He's always a little chippy about that. I
11
understand.
years in this league. That's the only stat you need.
You also have a couple penalties to your name.
I do.
Let's check this out really quick.
Crazy ones out there.
Bert
too.
on
that
the
one
keyboard.
Against the Philly is diabolical. Okay, I took that guy knees out. Okay, I did.
Is that the fine you got that you always talk about?
Yeah, I got death threats over that one, man.
If you had to guess, how many penalties did you have in your career, Ramon?
Let's all guess.
Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead.
All right, 11 years. Let's say you averaged 2.5 a season. Yeah, give me 29.
I'll go 27.
I'll go 15.
I would say 55. I've
wrong.
had
55?
No, it was it was 25.
Oh, I was about to say, like, whoa, wait a minute. I got fired.
Less than 2 a year. The most you ever had in a season, 5 in 2015 and 2014.
What'd you do in 2015?
I ain't got no clue. Probably jumping off sides. That was, no.
Here we go.
That was the height of Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Okay.
So I know I probably got 2 in that game right there. Just
because perfect was on the other side of the wall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
1 hold, 2 false starts, and 1 declined offsides penalty in 2015.
I'll tell you, you'll live with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Every day of the week.
1 hold. Who the hell was beating me then?
So your worst season was half of what Dylan Radins had last year.
My boy, you see why it lasted so long, huh? You see why it lasted? That's what we do in these situations. Again, I told you, Kayla, like, when you're down in that stance, you better go to tunnel vision, okay?
Sure.
Because nothing else matters except for the snap count and going to beat somebody up, okay?
I was a freshman in college. You were blocking Vontez Perfect.
Hey, now, I'm going to give respect to the guy that needs it. I was blocking Geno Atkins, okay? Please don't forget that.
615-737-1045. Bill Callahan will join us at 8 o'clock. Talked to the media yesterday and had this to say about the challenges of pads going on for the first time.
Yeah, padded work is, I think, something that all the players look forward to. So your contact timing comes into play. So it'll be interesting to see where we're at in that phase of it. I know it's not going to be perfect the first day, and nothing is, but it'll just be good, to crack the pads, have the linemen have an opportunity to get up and run some inside zone, some duo plays where they can set their pads and let the physicality take part. We haven't had that portion of it yet.
Is that true that every player loves when pads come on, Ramon?
Yeah, because it's a love-hate relationship, okay? The first day you're ecstatic because why? Man, we get an opportunity to really just lean in and beat somebody up. That one guy that's been an agitator all of the preseason, okay? I mean, all of OTAs and mini camps and workouts. This dude has looked like a darling rushing, right? Like, oh, look at me, I'm a ballerina running around, you fat guys.
Just say Arden Key's name.
I know, that's what I was going to say.
It ain't just him. It's all of them, okay? He speaks for the group, okay? I ain't gonna ever bash Arden because I love what Arden brings, okay? It's all of them, Will. It ain't just him. You just hear him more than the others, all right? But what it does is this, though. It does take the excuses away. And what I mean by excuses is this. A D lineman to get past, you're like, oh, that was a sack. It's like, no, it was not a sack. Oh, that's a tackle. Like, no, that is not a tackle right there. Oh, that's a quarterback. I got him. No. It allows you to – I'm being very animated with this one, but –
so you're here to do 4 hours a morning.
It allows you, Will, to remove the excuses of did I or did I not win. When you can put hands on somebody, finally, when you can, and the coaches are going to get mad about it, but they love it too, put somebody on their back, you know what I'm saying? Or you physically remove a 300-pound man from the A-gap and your running back runs up the middle, you can no longer say, but if I had pads on, y'all wouldn't do that. Sound like I've heard that a time or two, wouldn't it? But that's what it also does. And what Coach Callahan says, too, is give those guys up front on either side of the ball the opportunity and the ability to work their double teams. And the same goes to Big Jeff and them, too, on the other side. Mm-hmm. Like them running their games and having the ability to actually – there's more contact and practice, I think, in the games. Tee off on you. And a guy like Kenneth Murray today, I mean, goodness gracious, he's going to be a missile. I'd expect, So it takes all that away, and you can finally say, I can hold my own against these guys. I can be in a position to win because I'm quick enough in my pads. And I've always said the pads add the ability to hold, too, legally. So we get all that today.
Fair enough. 615-737-1045 is our number. Let's go to Larissa in Nashville, next up on the phone lines. What's up, Larissa?
What's up, Larissa?
Good morning, you guys, and a beautiful lady.
Morning.
I just want to say that you guys are amazing. I love the show. And this is now the third time that I've called. So
we love it.
It tells you I'm up.
Third time's a charm.
I called your show. But I just want to say that you guys are great. I love all the shows. Just to piggyback quickly on Aaron Rodgers' situation, I'm guessing he just had a toddler tantrum, so that's what that is. But I am curious to know from all of you, if you guys were coaches, per se, what music, because again, sports and music bring people together. If you can high five someone next to you at a game, or you can be at a concert, and people are definitely digging all the music. But it's going to be a hot day. If all three of you were playing, or in this situation, because it's going to be hot again, and I sound ridiculous, what music would you be listening to, or what artist? And I'm going to hang up and listen.
That's a good question.
Well, you asking us the hard questions this morning, Larissa.
I got one instantly for you guys. Bob Marley. Don't worry.
Ooh.
About a thing. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Because
every little thing is gonna be all right. Like that. That's gonna practice will end soon. That's what I tell it to myself. Survival, right? You can't go wrong with
how about a little Journey?
Marley.
Don't stop believing.
That's game day for me though, but I'll let it slide. I'll let that one slide.
You know, you got to get that belief up.
I hate that one too because that's what Robert Kraft played whenever they unveiled their Super Bowl banner when we went and played them.
Did he really?
Oh my God! Who sings that song?
Journey.
Yeah. It was them. He had a whole
Who
performance.
sings that song? What the world are you talking about?
It's two different worlds here, Will. If I ask you, no. Yes.
Journey,
yes.
Don't Stop Believing lives in all worlds. That is an
I know the
all-world song.
I don't know the artist, okay? If I ask
Nashvilleian Steve Perry.
The Tennessee anthem, Nobody Needs Nobody, okay? Who sings that?
That's not the same
Play
level
a fly.
as Don't Not
You're not a Tennessean if you don't know that. You're not a Tennessean if you don't know that.
That is not the same level as Don't Stop Believing.
The state of Tennessee is the same level,
No,
Will.
it is not.
Bro,
it's really not.
Somebody's going to go to that white building back there. We're going to close the door, okay?
Ooh, I always wanted to know what was in there. Yeah, what's in there?
Everything.
Is there a hot tub? Cool tub?
Spiders. Journey. Okay, all right. I got you on that.
I'm trying to think of themes right now.
Give me 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Just the whole album. Just no skips. Play it in order. That's all I would need. J. Cole.
Future March Madness. It's always get the people going. That always gets the
Give me a little
going.
90s rap.
Little 90s rap. A little 90s rap?
Yeah.
Tupac. I know today is Tupac Tuesdays for 3XL,
exactly.
So they'll be blasting it all today.
Throw a little Pac on there. Yep, little Biggie.
100%.
Coming up, back in the practice field today for the Titans. Interesting when you look at some of the weapons in this offense. Tyke Tolbert gave us a little bit of information, the Titans wide receivers coach, about one target. Which Titans weapon is most likely to be wide receiver 3? Because after the open practice on Saturday, I think there are two candidates we're not talking enough about. We'll do that next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation, letting you guys know. Okay, all we've heard this morning is somewhat decent is how hot it's going to be. And because of that, man, this is the perfect time to make sure that your windows or your house is sealed with real good windows so that good air doesn't get outside and you don't have to pay that high electric bill later this month. Kayla, tell them more about this one.
That is right. You want to keep that AC indoors. We do not want to spend any money. And that comes even in the wintertime when you're trying to keep the heat in.
Yeah.
Our friends from Window Nation, they can help you out with that. Maybe you don't know if your windows are up to par. You can test those out easily. Open them up, see if they open properly. If they don't, if there's condensation on them in mornings like this, that means you need new windows, and our friends from Window Nation can hook you up. They are trusted by over 200,000 home owners, and they have installed over 200,000 windows just last year alone, 96% of them requiring no follow-up service, so you only have to do it once. So give our friends at Window Nation a call for their offer right now. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 24 months. That's 866-90Nation, or log online to windownation.com.
Buying a diamond, if you're not properly educated, listen, it's hard. If you're not careful, you can easily overpay. Small variations in diamonds quality specs can make a huge difference in its value. That's why I always recommend Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds education is second to none. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain how diamonds are priced on the world market, and the non-commissioned experts will make sure you are a savvy buyer, even if you decide to shop somewhere else. These days, this is so important, especially if you are considering buying a lab-grown diamond. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind the recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-grown diamonds are overpriced in so many places. Bottom line is, Genesis is your source for the best information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown. Whether you are buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure you don't make a mistake. Genesis Diamonds, where the focus is always on honesty, transparency, education, quality, and most importantly, value. Don't buy a diamond until you learn the ins and outs from Genesis. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
You ever wonder why so many pro athletes go and use stem cell therapy? Because it works. I'm Ron Slade, retired 14-year pro basketball player, and I needed to get this done. After I went through my entire career riddled with injuries, I needed therapy. So I went to Callahan Stem Cell Institute out in Franklin. Why? Because they're the stem cell specialists. They can be yours too. They're the stem cell specialists of the Tennessee Titans. You know why? Because it works.
Make an appointment today with Callahan Stem Cell Institute.
The sweet sounds of Kansas. According to Ramon Foster, maybe.
Yeah.
Bringing us back here on Ramon, Kalen, Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone. Gosh, don't you just love AC/DC?
I actually thought this was Creed. What? Something's wrong with that answer? I didn't realize it.
615-737-1045. No, you could shame me on more musical stuff that would probably resonate more with our audience.
Patti LaBelle sounded good right there.
She does backup for them.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought that was Latina Turner, too. Y'all didn't hear that in the back?
Simply the best.
Tina.
That's right. 615-737.
I'll play your game.
1045. No, we know it's true. For those on YouTube, once again, the 1045 The Zone app is available to download wherever you download apps to listen to any of the music that Reed Smith cues up for us. All right, so practice on the field today. We are live from Titans training camp in just over a half hour. We'll be joined by Titans O-line coach Bill Callahan. Guys, is there a chance Tyjae Spears or Tony Pollard is wide receiver 3 for the Tennessee Titans in 2024? Because after what I have seen from a couple of practices, from an open practice where Tony Pollard was the guy on the end of a long Will Levis throw that was the longest pass play at the Saturday open practice. Who's wide receiver 3 on this team? Because I think it might be one of the running backs.
I don't think you're exactly wrong on this. That I don't think you can just count out, because at least early on, you're right. We've seen them involved a lot in the passing game, but we also go back to last year, and Tyjae Spears was involved a lot in the passing game in his rookie season. 52 receptions for 385 yards for Mr. Spears last year in that department. And we've kind of known that he's more the natural type of pass catcher back, right? And so I think if he continues to prove that he can play that role, those numbers could go up this year. Now you have Tyler Boyd, who has played in this offense before under Brian Callahan, who has been that number 3 guy his whole career. You have to keep him in the mix, but it's not guaranteed here, because you do have these 2 types of backs now. I think Tyjae over Pollard, but that's just because I've seen Tyjae do it last year here in that role.
Wide receiver 3 for me? No, Will. I say no chance on those 2 dudes.
No chance?
No chance on them being stat-wise, being wide receiver number 3, because I think there's specific tools that are able to be used in the passing game. And if you look at the track record of the Cincinnati Bengals with Brian Callahan being there and Zach Taylor, Joe Mixon's reps and receptions at that position average about 400 so yards. Okay, I think he's like 4th and 5th on their receiving numbers as it pertains to him getting the ball. I think they're going to be very specific weapons that will be used in mix-match situations to where they can take advantage of defenses. But I think the way this team is going to be constructed is specific roles for guys that have specific positions, meaning wide receivers will play wide receivers. Although I have somewhat commissioned that Traylon be a weapon for him, put him in the backfield, move him all around. I do think Tyler Boyd is number 3, simply because we saw him out here the first day of practice and Will Levis went to him down the seam. I do think he has to stay healthy. I do think his speed has to be there and available for when this team needs it. As far as the numbers, he's going to be expected to get as a number 3. And I think that's a role that he's already somewhat carved out. We hadn't heard the conversation of Traylon being a number 3. Well, they hadn't really mentioned numbers. I think we know who 1 and 2 are. But I think the next guy in line, in my personal opinion, is Tyler Boyd. Now, here's the thing that has to happen over the course of the season. Does Traylon develop a bigger role? If that does happen, I don't have a problem whatsoever watching him be a number 3. But as it stands right now in training camp for me and how I think the season will look with this 1, 2, and 3, Calvin, D-Hop, however you want to flip them, and I think Tyler's number 3 because the way he's been used is what this team somewhat needs, especially with watching these young tight ends develop too.
It's hard to look at the distribution right now when we haven't seen a game and haven't seen even like them in pads yet, because there are so many different types of weapons, and you made a good point, like how will they utilize those, and they'll have plans for everybody, because it is different already when you have two backs that can also be pass catchers.
Yeah.
You have now, tight ends, and we've seen Josh Wiley kind of emerge a little bit early on in camp, but Chig's still doing Chig things. Right. Then you have added the wide receivers to that room that you hadn't had before. And then, by the way, can Treylon Burks prove that he can be a part of this offense? An integral part? No, probably not, but a part of it, absolutely. And we're even missing out on some of the guys. We don't even know if they're going to make the roster, but they've played parts in the past in a Kyle Phillips, and Nick Westbrook-Akine, who I do believe is going to make the roster. But it's amazing like how many layers there are to this offense now, and how will they distribute everything? That's the great question.
Duck is right on YouTube in the F&M Bank chat that Tony Pollard was a wide receiver at Memphis.
Yeah.
So I know obviously he's had a little bit of a position change in the NFL, but that was how he carved out a role in Dallas to begin with, was being the wide receiver and being the lightning to Ezekiel Elliott's thunder with the Cowboys. I want to think about Jaquan Jackson, though, within this as well, because Tyke Tolbert gave us a little bit of information yesterday telling us about the rookie out of Tulane, having this to say about the exact role Jackson has within this offense.
Jaquan's been good. As a rookie, again, a lot of come at these rookies or whatever, so he's playing two positions right now, the slot, the F, and the Z, so I'm trying to get him acclimated as much as possible to the NFL game speed, and he studies all the time. He studies with our assistants. I mean, he's always in there, so he's doing a good job.
Slot, the F, and the Z. Do you guys know what I hear?
What's that?
When he says that? I hear Khalif Raymond in 2019.
Is that right?
Because slot, F, and the Z, I saw some people talking about this on Twitter yesterday, allows Jaquan Jackson as an outside receiver to be a deep threat down the field, and specifically in the play-action passing game.
He's got the speed.
I think Jaquan Jackson, is very likely to make this roster as a guy that was picked on day 3 this year. You're going to get the first crack at making this team. But I think he's another guy I'm really intrigued to see out there today, and just the different places they can put him on the field, because as much as this team has emphasized the addition of more speed, of more dynamic playmaking ability at wide receiver, Jaquan Jackson has all those things if he can keep his head above water as you dive into the deep end of being a rookie in this league. And
I think Tyke Tolbert mentioned it, like there is a lot of layers, right? And he's been really good in terms of making sure he's studying everything. I talked to him after practice on Saturday. Okay. He was coming off field. I was like, I haven't talked to Jaquan yet, and really impressed by like just how composed he is as a rookie, and he wasn't like too hyped up or anything. And he had mentioned that playbook and how it is a different level of intensity, and he said at first it was kind of overwhelming, early on.
Respectfully,
Absolutely.
They play big ball, but
do.
I'm sure there's a level
the
to
SEC,
what they're getting, or the Big Ten.
Right.
I don't want to just crap on them, but there is a lot of learning, I'm sure. That's the same for anybody that will come from UT Chat, and just a multitude of places, right?
Yeah.
That there's a learning curve to be had.
And he said he has really found like his groove now, and he's starting to it's starting to click. Yeah. So that matches up with what Tyke Tolbert is saying too. Like he's starting to pick up things, and that is only going to be better for what he can do out there in these moments where we're trying to figure out what will his role be. But I think he could be a part of this offense for sure.
And it's always a common thing for young guys, especially for coaches like Tyke Tolbert that's been around. Yeah. The more you can do. Like, I know I've said that, and that's a football cliche. If we ever do drafts, I'm taking, okay? The more you can do, the longer you stay around. Like, we've spoken about it a good bit, right? Like, I think 3 or 4 of these wide receiver positions are already filled. Right, you got the top 2, you got Tyler, and I'd even throw Treylon in. Heck, you got 5 essentially.
Yeah, you do.
So he's got to be in a position where he can move around and make himself valuable. So that the more you can do, cliche motto. I mean, it's so apparent right now for a guy like him.
So how will Brian Callahan and this offense challenge Will Levis today? Starting padded practices, how will this offense operate? Coming off of a week last week where you weren't at a jog-through pace. You're still playing football. You're still challenging these guys. But do you see the full complements of the vertical routes and the aggressive play calling today specifically, Ramon Foster?
Man, composure, Will, and accuracy today. Because, again, those wide receivers can those DBs can now shoulder check you.
But are we playing real football?
Yeah, we're playing real football.
Okay.
Yes, 100. His composure of being able to, hey, keep your guys calm, because if you're the leader that we think you are, it's going to get hot and spicy today. And also, can you throw your guys open when it's real now? Those are the things he has to be able to do. Those are the challenges that I'm sure Denard Wilson, on day one, he's got nothing but red in his eyes. Light him up. Mm-hmm. Because if he proves that he can get to Will Levis and his guys before Will Levis delivers the ball on a day like this, then I think it's very problematic for him on day one. Now, it ain't bad. It's what he's supposed to do as a defensive coordinator. But composure and accuracy of his passing and timing is where you challenge Will Levis at on a day like today. He ain't got to worry about nothing in the run game. If they do play action, he's not going to get hit. So how can he finish the plays on a day like today in the first day of pass?
Is this also where you can immediately start trying to, make some of those risky throws, or do we wait a little bit? A couple days.
I think you wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like day one where they're just dropping the ball off no further than 10 yards.
Yeah.
I think we will see progressive plays like down the field, like first layer, second layer, third layer type of things today, because they got to, okay? They've been throwing the ball around long enough.
First preseason games next week, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's time to start. Playbook is mostly in on the first day of pads, especially this late in training camp. This ain't that late, but we've had a whole week of doing stuff, right? Yeah. But you got to think every day they've met, except for, I think, what was it, Sunday? They had a day off. So they've done something every single day. The playbook is in. So I think you open it up as much as you possibly can. 7-on-7 for them should be hot today.
Yeah.
And I think we got the close view today also. So hopefully we see some good stuff from Will Levis and the rest of the quarterbacks too.
The note on that as well for the people is that with fans here,
yes,
we can tell you what's happening as it is happening in front of us this
Love
morning
it.
for the first time. So we might do a little
play-by-play.
I'm not going to say play-by-play because, again, I'm not worthy
color commentary
of calling any iteration of Titans football. However, we'll give you some loose captions of what's going on in front of us.
Yeah, let's just say I may stand up depending on if the crowd is in front of us and do the show. Bert carried this webcam around like an old, big VHS, recorder. A recorder is what we're going to do while we somewhat give insights on practice.
Biggest question you have about practice today is what? The number one thing you are most interested to see?
And that same sentiment, the way I said to Vondre earlier, I do want to see if what I saw with my own two eyes, John Ojukwu stand tall. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest question mark today. I've seen him pass set, and it's looked good. I've seen him ricochet back in to stop T'Vondre Sweat from rushing up the field when his guy drops in coverage. When the DN drops in coverage, he came back inside to stop the rush. I want to see whenever they line up, and they will, O-line versus D-line, will he hold his own or will he get toppled is what I want to see. Can he consistently do that? And if he does get got, Kayla, look at me, okay? Run it back. Run that back. I need to see that competitive edge for a guy that's still got a lot to prove. Again, I think they're going to have to pry this position out of his cold hands, okay, at the end of it. I do think that.
When talking about Ojukwu?
John Ojukwu. But how does he handle practice?
Yeah.
What was one of the knocks on our beloved Joshua Dobbs? Will, his practice reps in college didn't translate over, right?
Yeah, his freshman year.
They didn't. So you do have to convince coaches in practice that I either can compete or I will fight. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm just that good. It's one of those two things have to be had whenever a pass for the bigs is on. I would throw JC in, but JC's had so much conversation that he's there.
Yeah.
J.C. Latham's at left tackle. I want to know what their right side is going to look like, and it starts with John Ojukwu.
I want to see, now that we're in pads and, the pressure's taken up a little bit. First of all, I don't know if Harold Landry is going to be out here today. There was talk of him, being back this week. When he is back, I clearly want to see how he's picking up from, losing some weight and all of that.
Yeah.
This pass rush, I'd like to see, let's see what Arden Key, but some of these other guys that not have been so glaringly sticking out. I mean, you've got the Rashad Weavers that, we know he's done a lot of stuff with his body over the past offseason, getting a little bit not slimmer, but maybe not as bulky. What can some of these guys do that if you need some of this depth at the pass rush position, who's going to stand up? Who's going to stick out in those situations? So I'm excited to see how the intensity is turned up. I'm also excited, not gonna lie, to see what Devondre looks like in pads. Like we see him out here. He's huge next to Jeff. Seeing those two now out there on the field in their pads, I think the trench war it's just getting started. It's gonna be exciting.
I'll tell you what it looked like. It looks fun. And it only
it
fun
does.
because I don't have to block it, okay?
Exactly. so you can just laugh all you want there,
Ramon. We'll see.
Number one question for me is, can Will Levis perform under pressure? He will be under pressure from this defensive line today. Can he navigate it? This offense is supposed to make it easier for a quarterback to get the ball out of his hand quickly and make up for a bad offensive line. I don't think this offensive line is great yet. How does Will Levis handle it? I think that's the biggest question today. Second biggest one is the inside linebacker who has drawn praise from assistant coaches. Frank Bush talked yesterday about first-year Titan Kenneth Murray. I'm interested to see what he looks like today in a padded practice that challenges his skill set a bit more. This was the Titans inside linebacker coach yesterday talking about Kenneth Murray.
He's extremely talented. We understand that part, and he's a smart kid. But what we're going to allow him to do is just turn himself loose within the system. I mean, there are guys all around him that he doesn't have to be a hero. I mean, you got Jeffrey Simmons in front of you. You're going to be okay, right? But, you don't have to be a hero, but you can just be free to flow and do some of the things you do. I mean, we're not looking for a guy to just be, a maverick and, play out of control, but controlled aggression, taking chances, calculated good chances, and give him a chance to just free himself to go, attack the football and make things happen.
Does he benefit from a fresh start to a new system?
Oh, absolutely. A fresh start and a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. And so, obviously those things, bode well in his favor. But, ultimately, it's just trying to tap into all the potential that he has, try to help him reach that potential.
I love hearing that.
Interested to see what we get with pads coming on today.
I'll just say this real quick. Tapping that potential. It can't go untalked about sometimes with some players just don't get it in certain situations. I feel like Kenneth Murray, if there's a place to tap into it, is definitely here with this staff.
We'll see. 615-737-1045. Some big news in the NFL for a former Titan yesterday that we'll talk about coming up next. Wrapping up the first half of Ramon, Kayla, and Will RKW in 15 minutes. Bill Callahan will join us. Mike Keith at a half hour. Ron Slay at 9:20. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045. Former Titans defensive end Danico Autry has been suspended by the NFL for 6 games for violating the league's policy against performance-enhancing drugs. Autry did release a statement saying he did not intentionally or even knowingly ingest a banned substance. Said over the course of his 10-year NFL career, he has never engaged in the use of PEDs. And over that period, he's had countless tests. He was stunned this offseason when he learned one of his tests was positive. Said, upon discovering the source, I immediately retained legal counsel in connection to the matter. My counsel providing the NFL with info, including documentation from his doctors establishing he neither asked for nor was prescribed any banned substances. Very unfortunate for a guy who had a career year last season as a Tennessee Titan, 11.5 sacks in 2023.
Man, so unlike Danico, too, who's been, squeaky clean for the most part. His career, head down, grind out type of guy is what he's been. Yeah, man, a few words. I heard Buck joking about it yesterday. That's the most he's ever seen him to put words together is in his statement. So I get where he's coming from, man. It sucks to even be in this position. The public perception of a lot of what he's going to go through is just that, too. I'm sure whenever he gets back in that locker room with his teammates, they'll be all above board with him, man. But if the fact that he's brought up so quickly, seeking counsel to figure this thing out, externally says a lot about what he think he took and where he got it from, too. Mm-hmm. I know that's just always a sticky situation to have that happen because there are a lot of guys that will use that conversation and they may have taken Adderall in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Right. And they use the excuse, but I just can't see Danico willingly doing something like that at his age, especially with the money that he was he's about to get paid out. That sucks for him is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a little biased because I like Danico, and he was great here. A man of little words, yes, but he let his play do the talking, and that's really what he did here. And he was always a professional, and I don't see him willingly doing anything to try to harm his maybe last part of his career after getting, so much money. That's 6 game suspension. That's no small feat there. That's a heavy amount of suspension. So I think I'm always confused with these types of things. We saw it here with Taylor Lewan when that all happened and what happened with him with the powder, the weight kind of the supplement stuff that got maybe interfered with. So I'm always confused when it comes to these types of things because it's not specific in exactly what they found, but I do take him for his word. I really do. All I'll have to say is that boy going to be angry when he has to play the Titans and he's back because he plays the Titans for both of those games. He's back for both of those games. So have fun with that.
Another thing too is if he is seeking counsel, like wages loss and, damages from the public space. I mean, Danico could come out up top on this thing if he does follow through with a lawsuit and sue the doctor's office and stuff. But there's probably so many waivers that you have to sign to get through this whole process. And it's so long of a process. Like, does he just accept?
Sure.
Or does he move on from the doctor? It's weird.
That's hard when you don't feel like you did that on purpose by any means, right?
I know in college we were told in our first ever meeting at Tennessee, never take anything unless we give it to you.
Yeah.
Because if something has a trace of anything that is banned or something that is like contaminated with, it was even as simple as like don't go to like the very common chains. And again, I'm just sharing my, 1% of the story perspective. Ramon, what is that like for an NFL player? Because all you guys have trainers that you work with in the offseason, but a lot of these guys too, we saw it in Quarterback on Netflix last year, they have cooks that make them stuff. Like there are so many third-party trainers and dietitians and cooks and people you hire because you're not living on the campus of the place you play like you are in college. Like there's less oversight over you as a professional. What goes into that?
I've heard of players, just speaking of cooks, saying now, no, it was true, saying they failed a test because their cook put some THC in their food, or maybe they are around it and cooking with it. So that type of stuff does happen.
Because, like, in college, again, like, you're going to the school cafeteria.
Yep.
Like, you're going to
Right.
places that, again, like, the athletic department has so much oversight. It's interesting to me the way that functions in a professional environment.
Whatever you need, the team's going to get for you. It's usually how it goes. So him having a script, the thing is, he's a vet, to your point. He's on his own. He's got his own doctors. He's got his own trainer wherever he lives and stays at, too. So it's that aspect of it, too. Like, there's been times where I've had to call Pittsburgh, like, hey, I need this or that. And they facilitate it for me, but it does come from an outside provider. So there's truth in his story. It's just a matter of, how much can he trace it back to what actually happened. But, yes, you're able as a pro to be able to freelance a lot as it pertains to your day-to-day, having primary doctors, trainers, etc.
And they're always going to give you more tests when you have a career season in your 30s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to your point, you talked about having how many different people have hands in his nutrition. I looked at the banned substance list for the NFL. 3 different sections between anabolic steroids, masking agents, and stimulants. There are 6 pages of banned substances.
That's wild.
So somebody could have easily just been like, oh, this would be great for his recovery or great for this, and not check on the list.
Yep.
So he accepted the suspension.
He did.
He is not combating it in any way. So a tough look for whoever is putting stuff in Danico's
It's like
body.
the U.S. tax code.
Damn, Danico.
Coming up next, OLJ, as he is known on 3HL, the offensive line coach of the Tennessee Titans, Bill Callahan, joins us after this. thinking you could just talk over Two Bros in a Cup.
Just a hair before 8 o'clock. Good morning from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. I am Robert Walsh. Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan joining us in just moments. Gave an update on NPF, who has missed most of training camp to an off-season knee scope.
I was hoping he would be back. I think we're going to push his rehab back a little bit to Friday. Hopefully we can get him back and then accelerate from there. Back in Cleveland, I had a number of tackles that, started the year on PUP. So it's a situation where it's a fine line. He's getting all the classroom walkthrough type work, but he needs to get on the field and practice, which he'll get to.
Texans defensive end and former Titan Danico Autry being suspended 6 games for violating the NFL policy against performance-enhancing drugs. He released a statement saying, quote, "It was important to me that the NFL know that I did not intentionally or even knowingly ingest a banned substance." To the Colts, where veteran defensive end Samson Ebukam went down in practice yesterday with a torn Achilles. Tough start for the defender, who started all 17 games for the Colts last year, finishing with a career-high 9.5 sacks. And a new deal in Detroit. Lions left tackle Taylor Decker reached an agreement on a 3-year, $60 million extension. Decker was entering in the last year of his deal, scheduled to make around $14 million, now under contract through the 2027 season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour number 3 starts right now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will as we broadcast live from Tennessee Titans Training Camp 2024. Alongside our NFL veteran Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, I am Will Bowling, Kirby Allen Kirby, and Robert Walsh, our producers. And joining us here at the table live from St. Thomas Sports Park, Tennessee Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan. Coach, welcome. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Coach. Good morning.
We are great. Excited to get the pads on today. What are you watching for today in the practice field as pads go on?
Oh, my God. We're looking for everything. We want it all in one day. So we're really anxious to watch the players come out, execute, and just find their way through the first day of pads. And we have a saying that we call setting your pads. I think Ramon understands this. The first day you're in pads, you want to have plays that are attitude-like, that are going north and south, where you can really get good fits, really good contact points, and then let the players play. I mean, that's the first thing, is crack those pads, get accustomed to the contact. And I think what's really, really important as you move along through the practice is the timing of the contact. It's just like baseball. Pitcher and a batter, and the batter hasn't had many swings. And if you haven't been in that box swinging at the fastball, it's pretty tough. So there's going to be some fastballs today.
Yeah, definitely. You speak my language. I got a son that plays baseball, so I know exactly what you mean, Coach. With that being said, you have a task that you've tackled before, and that's having a first-round pick that's expected to start early. What is your process with dealing with a guy like J.C. Latham? Because you have before at other places where high first-rounders start day one if all goes well.
Yeah, so I think, for him, it's first things first. It's being able to set your feet, be rooted, have a base, play with hands, and play with speed, okay? And finding that tempo and that energy to finish off and get accustomed to the speed of the game, that's the biggest point for him today.
Yeah. Also this, too, you've been O-line J, as some of our teammates call you O-line Jesus, okay, for a while.
Oh, my God.
To work 3HL did that for you, okay, where you understand and develop well. I have to ask you, from your time getting into this game, how has your teaching, because the athlete has changed so much also, have you had to tweak much as J.C. Latham walks out here early today, Coach?
Yeah, I think so. I think any coach and any teacher continues to learn, continues to evolve. And with the times and with the changes of the CBA for the player's safety,
it's a different dimension. It's not like the old days, Ramon, when you were playing and you had two-a-days and you were banging away and you were meeting till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I think the CBA, I think the Players Union has done a really good job, bringing some safety into it, but also bringing some R&R, where the players can recover, they can rest, they can regroup and recalibrate for the next day. So that's been a real big positive, and it's keeping me going and coaching as well.
Can I piggyback real quick off of that? And just some of the tools that you've maybe inserted along the way of layering your coaching process on the offensive line. Where did you start to kind of build that? And I like to call it your toolbox, because there's everything out there you can imagine. And these guys really, say how detailed that is.
Right. We have a good playground out there. We have a lot of toys.
I would have hated it.
We do. I know. Well, it's got to keep them busy, right?
Yeah. Right.
We keep them active. But I think you build a toolbox for the players, and what you're trying to do is give them techniques and different cutting-edge strikes. And strikes in our vernacular is really how you use your hands, how you're positioning your hands, and where you're putting them. So very much like a martial artist. I was fortunate enough to be around an assistant coach that I had in Cleveland by the name of Scott Peters, who's now the offensive line coach with the New England Patriots. And he came from the BJJ world. He was a mixed martial artist. He owned a studio in Arizona, and I was fortunate enough to be able to hire him in Cleveland as an assistant. So I learned a lot of things from him and his experiences and how to bring the martial arts into offensive line play.
Wow.
And so it was really cool, and I learned a lot from him, and our players got better, and we really collaborated on a lot of things, and things that we did there we're now utilizing here. So we're trying to improve the players, but give them a different set of tools that are unique to the league, and probably I would say there's not very many teams that are using these types of things. So it's a real benefit for our guys here, as they get acclimated to it.
Coach Bill Callahan with us this morning talking to your line. Coach, when it comes to opportunities, right, myself as an undrafted free agent, I love guys. I love watching guys take advantage of situations. One of those dudes seemed to be John Njoku, man. How is he in your first year and his second year as a pro impressed you at that position? I see his movement. It looks concise. It looks as if he's not a young guy anymore. How have you evaluated him at that spot being undrafted?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for players that come from that world like you have, and boy, I'm inspired by what you did in Pittsburgh. We've watched you from afar for a long time, Ramon. And guys like John, very similar to a lot of guys that I've had, come in and, you give them the toolbox that we were talking about, and they just get better, and they take advantage of their opportunities. They study hard. He lives here in the off season in that facility. And so his dedication, his preparation, and then his focus and his habits, they all come to fruition on the field. And, there's that old saying, smart, tough, dependable. Well, he encapsulates all of that. So when you have people that have that type of makeup and that do have the physical skills, they just get better and better. They absorb everything you give them. They're just diehard. They want to be great. So, it's very similar to like a freshman in college, where when they come in, they're very raw. And then by the time they're a sophomore, junior, going into their senior year, they've changed. They've grown. They've gotten better. So he's in that phase right now where he's improving, and it's always great to see a young player like him or players that we've been around like yourself.
I want to overtake this rule, but that's why I was also going to follow up too. Is I always have this conversation with fans and just talking football and no line stuff, right? That first year you learn, that second year you grow, and by that third and fourth year is when you really become a pro. I made a rhyme there, okay? But is that how you somewhat see it? Is we'll take our lumps early, and if they continue continue to learn to develop, is it about year 3 to 4 to you to where you see a pro, or have you run against them?
Well, they're pros that make it, but in terms of playing at the higher level, okay? I think that's what you're speaking of.
Yes.
I think that does happen. It does occur. I've had a lot of players in my past that have been undrafted, that have improved, have gotten better, seen the field, playing time. That's awesome. I mean, that's invaluable anytime you can get on the field. Yeah. But to your point, guys like J.C. Latham, I was telling him yesterday, when you get a chance, I said, in 3 years from now,
and you look back to your rookie year, you're going to look back at yourself and go, wow.
Yeah.
You know, what was I doing? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a dramatic change.
When it comes to MPF, Nicholas Petit-Frere, we've covered him a couple years here. Now, hopefully going to see him out on the field again. What's the traits you see in him, Coach, that you're like, okay, this guy has starting ability. He started his rookie year here at right tackle.
Right. I love Nick. I haven't had the opportunity to see him as much because, in the offseason, he had a little of a procedure in the offseason that took him out of the offseason program. He started out on PUP. I think we'll probably get him back on Friday. So we'll get a really good evaluation going forward, but I think it'll be important for him to acclimate intelligently because we'll be in the contact phase, so we'll have to ramp him up and get him caught up to speed more or less, and then, let the evaluation take place with the preseason games.
Well, Billy, you and Ramon have forgotten more about offensive line than everyone else here knows. You still get excited at days like this, just day one of Pats?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how can you not? This is what it's all about. You get on the field and you watch these guys. They've done all this preparation, lifting. They've hit these sleds. They're tired of hitting sleds. Like Ramon said, they don't like them. They don't want to be on them. But it's necessary to build a fundamental technique. And so taking the drills out now into live situation, I think now is where all the evaluation comes into play. And last night we were talking to the guys, and I said, look, just go out and play hard. I'm not worried about the mental assignments. So when we were scripting the runs today, we put in real simplistic concepts to let them just come off the ball.
Bill Callahan has been
all about pain today.
Yeah. We'll let him go and get onto the practice
Coach.
field. Bill, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Bill Callahan with us here this morning at the table as practice gets started here in just a few minutes from Tennessee Titans training camp. Appreciate him making some time on a busy morning.
You hear what he said at the end? It's like we're just putting simple plays in. It's all about physicality today.
It's interesting.
It is.
So that's a little bit of news. We talked about that a little bit this morning about how vanilla versus how complex the schemes would look today. And I think the line coach just told you maybe it is still a bit more basic just to take away the thinking and add the physicality and the controlled aggression for the offensive line today.
It is, and the way they're going to be evaluated is, like I said earlier, if they lose, do you come back to the table again? If you win, how do you win again? And it's about stacking plays on a day like today and just the rest of the camp, too, because it's going to be 24 zone, which is the most simple. 24 zone, 25 zone, 3-step drops whenever they do pass pro. It won't be anything complicated today because it's just are you a man enough? Are you a dog?
Do you have that dog in you?
Do you have it today? No, legitimately. Do you have it in you? Like, golly, I wasn't even excited. Now I'm back excited again.
I mean, we genuinely could have spent an hour of just picking his brain. It's awesome.
He's been around the
Good
game
stuff.
for so long. It's just those little nuggets we got just in itself
Really
is
good.
always impressive.
So that's Bill Callahan, 615-737-1045 if you want to react to that. And we will do that as the show continues here in hour 2, or in hour 3, I should say. But coming up next, The Vibe. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, joins us after this.
What's going on? It's Bert and Ramon from RKW. Training camp is not for the faint of heart. When you work out in this heat, there's only one place I want to eat, and that's Prince's Chicken, the original hot chicken.
No doubt about it, Bert. Prince's is the original Nashville hot chicken. It's been a staple here in our community for almost 100 years, man, starting at the first location at Jefferson as Prince's Hot Chicken Shack, and it has evolved to multiple locations all across the state, too. Middle Tennessee, and there's one in Knoxville, a couple in the airport. They're everywhere. Listen, if you want the original and the best, okay, find a location near you. There are 5 across the city, or simply go to princesshotchicken.com to have their catering done. Up to 1,000 people if you need it done here in the city, all right? Yes, over 1,000. princesshotchicken.com.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone, live from a Tennessee Titans training camp. Appreciate Bill Callahan joining us here on the show just a minute ago. Check out the podcast feed if you missed that. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Joining us now, the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. A little bit of Sopranos music, the practice field, practice starting. The vibes are great, Mike. Welcome.
It is always a fantastic day because this is what the game's all about.
That's right.
All the rest of the stuff, it works great, and you got to do it, and you're ramping up, and you're acclimating, and you're evaluating, but this game's played in pads, and there's always going to be someone who is going to be a different player in pads positively because they just like to smack the crap out of people. And you don't know why. I mean, you can look at the measurables and all the different things about they have burst and they have power, but some guys can just hit. They just can. They're not afraid. They don't. They run through you. It's in their heart. I mean, they may not be the best looking physical specimen, but they can just play. And then there are other guys who look like Mr. Olympia, and once you put the pads on, they're not the same player. The other thing that happens, too, which is really fascinating to me and always has been about the game, is there are some guys who are just as fast, if not faster, in pads. Yeah. They play to their 40 time, and there are a lot of guys who never play to their 40 time once they put pads on. They may run a 4.2 whatever, but they play the game in pads at 4.6.
Yep.
That's wild.
I mean, what do they call it? How you carry your pads. Mm-hmm. The other part of it, too, and Brian Callahan made a good point. He said, you can run 1,000 routes, but you're not used to somebody hanging on you. You're not doing it after you've been kicked and hit and bent over and fallen down and flipped over. The only way to get ready to play football is to wear pads. So 6 padded practices between now and the first preseason game.
I know Ramon Foster is excited about the same thing Bill Callahan is excited about as well, that when pads come on, it is easier to define what a sack is from the offensive line and defensive line perspective. Just going back and reflecting on what he told us a minute ago and how today is very bare bones and simple in terms of the runs that they will install for today, and just wanting to see the aggression and the physicality from the offensive line within the ramp-up process. Mike, this is an important first step, but in a lot of ways, this still is very much a first step.
That's a good point, Will, because that's what you're doing. I mean, you saw the 16 third down plays on Saturday, and the defense won. Mm-hmm. The defense is at a pretty big advantage in that situation. Will Levis was not able to complete as many passes because he was under a lot of heat. And it's like, well, yeah, he was. But the defense has advantages, and the defense has advantages early on anyway. But now you'll start to see a lot of the things, and for Bill, I'm sure, you'll start to see a lot of the things he's been teaching and how they've been grasped. So they'll start to add in things, and there'll be some physicality in the run game that you'll want to see. And for all the talk about passing, the Titans are still going to want to be able to run it when they want to run it, when they need to run it. That's still a big part of what this game is you've got to have that ability. And we'll start to see more of that and, see a guy like T'Vondre Sweat. How does T'Vondre Sweat act after 3 plays of full pads? True. Getting hit by Skoronski and
them ribs,
Cushenberry, and I mean he's never been blocked by guys quite like this who've been coming at him in pads. What he was doing on Saturday is working against guys in shells, and it was hand-to-hand combat, so to speak. Now it's a little different.
We essentially, Mike, remove all the excuses now, right? It's straight football.
This is the game.
It is the game. It's been feel like a long offseason. Well, heck, 7 months, right, of just getting to this point now, almost 8 months in. In these 8 months, who are, Mike, the 3 names you've heard the most, man? Either new guys or even some of the older guys this offseason where you've gone numerous places and this name always comes up for this team.
Well, it's Will Levis first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's such a key component in all of this. I mean, let's face it. If the Will Levis thing, taken in the second round, becoming the starting quarterback, if he becomes a franchise quarterback for this team, considering what you will pay him the next 2 years, which is you will pay him in 2 years basically what Tua Tagovailoa is getting times 10 in 1 year, then you have an opportunity to build out this roster. And then you have an opportunity to be in position in year 4 when it's time to pay him whatever buku millions of dollars. You're set up to do it because you've allotted for it. So, I mean, all eyes are going to continually be on him. I think Calvin Ridley. Because he's such a difference maker. He's such the element that the Titans have lacked the last 2 years. You know, when they lacked A.J. Brown, they've lacked the speed, the scary guy.
Yeah.
And he's clearly a scary guy. When the Titans were running it well in 19, 20, and 21, the other part of that equation is they had the play-action deep shot. But you got to have somebody who can get deep. And Ridley can clearly do that, and he can drive you crazy with the other parts of it. And then I think the name that keeps coming up, too, is L'Jarius Sneed. I watched the Super Bowl with my wife in Florida, and I said, we need him. I said, we need him.
Well, you got him.
She said, well, why him? I said, well, he does better than anybody else in the game what we want to do at corner. He beats people up.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. If you're doing that effectively, you give those 5, 6, 7 pass rushers, which we're going to bring 4, 5, 6, whatever, it gives them time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mike, when it comes to the linebacker position, and we've seen what Kenneth Murray has done early on in practice, but I think impressing coaches, impressing his teammates, we've heard about this playing free. That's what he was brought here to do. Mm-hmm. What have you seen out of him early on that's putting him on the right path to being a contributor to this Titans defense?
Well, shades of what we've seen in part with the Chargers. I mean, he's an unusual athlete. He was that at Oklahoma. He was that at times with the Chargers. He's not the traditional linebacker that you're like, okay, do all these things. I mean, he's a guy with a specific set of skills, a la Liam Neeson. He has a very specific set of skills, and if you can turn those loose, then he can be a devastating player potentially. Mm-hmm. That's why he's here, because he fits this scheme, and that's what they want to do. They want to turn him loose due to that overall athleticism that he has to rush the passer, to go sideline to sideline, to penetrate. He's got a strength that is, I mean, you could see it in his lower body. He just explodes. So that's going to be fun to watch as they get into pads if he can keep doing that, because so far they really haven't been able to handle him in how he's being used. And again, weren't in pads.
Exactly.
Right.
They weren't in pads. We'll see if he's still able to do some of those things. But that's why they wanted him, because it's like that guy, I mean, he can be a havoc wreaker in so many different ways.
Mike, also with just how this team was built this offseason and the draft picks last year, too. You got to throw them into the mix because Josh Wiley, I think, can play a huge part. Mm-hmm. But, Mike, in my coverage of this team since 2020 and being with you guys last year.
And you're going to do sidelines again this year,
if you allow me, Mike.
Yeah.
Can we get an Air 5 on that one?
Air 5.
By the way, I watched The Neighborhood last night, too. I know your son's a writer on that show. If anybody that did not know that, watch that show. Okay.
Thank you. Cedric the Entertainer's kind of talented.
Yeah, he's in there.
He's okay.
Right?
Yeah, Tashina Arnold, she's in there, too. I got some celebrities I know and like in there, too. With that being said, though, Mike, the quality of depth, I feel like, at almost every position. And let's go to the last 5 years. Has it been this deep, considering where this team was and how far it had to go? Because I feel like there's competition at a lot of positions. Like, we're talking about L'Jarius Sneed or Cheeto not being out there, and we got Trey Avery getting routes, right? I mean, we got young rookies having the ability to get reps right now, too. Is this the most you've seen in the last, 5 years?
I don't want to say 5 years, Ramon, because we were pretty good in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
We probably weren't as deep, but we were certainly veteran. And, what really happened is the salary cap got us, age got us, injuries got us, and that's why the team went downhill the way they did in 2022, particularly the second half of the year, and then in 2023. And you look at us last year, and I tweeted out something when all of my stuff was still taped up in booth 7 when we went on Saturday. And I tweeted out the roster for the game 7 months ago against Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't very good.
Right.
I mean, how they beat Jacksonville is pretty remarkable because there wasn't a lot of speed. There certainly wasn't a lot of depth. There were a lot of names on that roster that were having to play because they played 86 players. The Titans are better right now than they were talent-wise at any point a year ago, period.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now what does that translate to, Ramon? Does that mean you go up in wins? Do you get the playoffs? Do you have a chance to win the division? Are you the surprise of the league? Or are you better and you don't win any more games than you did last year because everybody around you is tougher? Don't know the answer to that.
Right.
But I know this. This football team is, I think, considerably more talented than they were a year ago. $80 million in cap room will do that for you.
It will.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You talked about Tavondre Sweat, right?
Yes.
Seeing him in pads. It's always fun to watch now him and Jeff out there. And even offensive line or defensive line coach Tracy Rocker in teaching moments. Immediately after something happens and it's not exactly what he wants, pulls him aside, okay, and then let's go over it again. What have you seen in the small amount of time with Tavondre, now that he's out here and people are trying to break him down, but what do you see out of him?
I mean, he has unlimited talent.
Yeah.
I mean, to be the size man he is and to be able to do some of the things that he can do, we haven't had a lot like him. Jeff's like that, but Jeff's like a power forward. This guy is like a 7'2" center. There are things that he can do, but can he do it down in, down out? Can he stay healthy during the course of the weeks? Can he keep his weight down? I mean, the questions about Tavondre have been legitimate. Mm-hmm. They were legitimate coming out of Texas, but when you talk about a man who's 6'5" and 350-ish, I mean, whatever the number is, Kayla, he can rush the passer. And the majority of guys that size that you've seen over the years can't do that. They're two-down players. He's potentially a three-down player because he has that sort of ability. But can he stay out there all three downs? The thing that and you've watched this a long time now, the thing that you understand is potential is one thing. And injuries cause problems and things like that. But this is a bottom line business. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what this is. It has to happen. It's like the situation for Treylon Burks. We've seen times where he has been outstanding in games. I mean, he was good in, week 2 last year.
Yes.
He had a great game against Green Bay on Thursday night as a rookie. I mean, he has ability. He hasn't been able to stay out there. At a certain point, it just has to happen or it doesn't. And that when you're picked in the second round like Tavondre was, higher than some of the experts thought,
sure.
I mean, you're going to be evaluated in that way. And the questions have been legitimate coming out, and he's got to prove that he can overcome all of those and that those are not right. And listen, it happens every day in the league. It happens every day in the league, and it seems like Baltimore's taken 20 guys over the last 10 years who you had questions about coming out of college. Oh, this guy, Terrell Suggs.
Right.
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you've got to take a spin at those people, because this is a game decided by 4 to 5 plays. The people who make the 4 to 5 plays are disruptors. That's why you signed Jamal Adams, to see if he's still got that in him. That's why you go get Calvin Ridley, because he can make the one play that you can't make. T'Vondre Sweat can be a disruptor who changes games like Jeff does, in a little bit different way, but he can do that. And today is the first day we really start to see where that factors in towards 2024.
I think, Mike, to that point, too, you see so often when the Ravens will draft somebody, you immediately say, oh, that's a Raven.
Oh, yeah.
When the New England Patriots had someone, oh, that's a Patriot.
Sure.
It does feel like on both sides of the ball now, this franchise has an identifiable style where we will go into a draft process and say, oh, that's a Titan. And you mentioned Jamal Adams. It feels like he is someone who certainly fits into that mold.
Absolutely, and I think it's a really good point, Will. And I think Lloyd Cushenberry is the great example of that. Lloyd Cushenberry was the number one target in free agency because they said, this is the guy we want to anchor an offensive line that's not very good. Mm-hmm. Because he's very good. He's a different size player than the normal center. He has different length, but he's also got the makeup of the player we want here. He's going to fight you, but he's also very athletic, and he can hold his own, and he's going to help the two guards. And so you've seen them. I'll give you another one. Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one, Mike.
Sebastian Joseph Day is a guy who's got an incredibly hard head. I mean, like a Raven, like a Steeler, that type of player that it's really hard to do anything with him. He started 71 games in this league, 40 at nose tackle, 31 at defensive tackle, and all he does is play good football. Yep. He's not spectacular, but he's a Titan in terms of what they want to be. He's going to start. It would be a huge shock if he's not a starter on the defensive line, because he's going to be that player that at the end of the day you'll pick up the box score and you'll say, 2 tackles and a quarterback pressure and maybe a tackle for loss or something, or 3 or 4 tackles. But you will think, having watched the game, he played really well.
Yep.
Because he's penetrated in the backfield and forced a play out wide, or done this, or help make a stop on 3rd and 1, or those sorts of. He's a winning football player.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for as they try to establish this thing. And they're going to have considerable money next offseason as well. So this process is going to continue. Coach Mack, I know, has preached that this is probably going to be a multi-year process of talent acquisition. It's true, and that's why I think people need to kind of manage expectations just a little bit.
Sure.
And then if this year goes better than expected, I mean, if you are a playoff team, then it really gets exciting.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sebastian Joseph Day, also a guy that's super savvy at pulling offensive linemen. Don't ask me how I know.
Here it is again.
He just helped facilitate other people to get sacked. So, yeah, Mike, he does a lot of stuff around the ball. No,
Yes.
I remember playing him in San Diego. Well, they were in L.A. at the time, transitioning.
Well, he played for the Rams and the Chargers, yeah.
And I remember him. He was a guy, to your point, that's savvy. This doesn't make a tackle, but he helps somebody else get free. He's that guy that pulls your shoulder pass to open up the gap right there, and somehow he doesn't get called for holding. I'm not hurt.
He's so hurt.
Look at Mike's face. I wish you could see Mike's face if you're listening.
What you're saying is he's a pro.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
He's a guy who maybe sets a pick too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when they say hit the ear hole, when he hits the ear hole, like he's literally coming to the side of the helmet, and you're wondering who was that car or bus that hit you. He's that guy.
Well, I mean, if you look at his lower body.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's 6'3", 300 pounds. You say, there's a lot of guys in the league 6'3", 300 pounds. This is a thick, big dude.
I like it.
Who can do some stuff. And again, not the biggest name in free agents.
Right.
but he's a type. Yeah. And the Titans in this free agency period have certainly gone after big names, but they very much have had a type.
Mike, real quick on the way out, when T'Vondre Sweat learns that the SEC officially noted Texas has TEX in their all-SEC teams and not UT, can we make sure Ashley Farrell, the entire crew, can we get a follow-up on the conversation you all had on the OTP now that Texas is officially TEX?
You know that clip has gotten over 1 million hits.
Really? I love it.
It started off, it was mostly Texas people, and then the Tennessee people finally responded. Finally, I was waiting for it.
Finally.
The moment I had your back.
It's like, where are you people? I'm standing up to this guy who outweighs me by 200 pounds, and I think they were busy with baseball because Texas was out. Tennessee was busy. Texas was out.
There it is.
But now the Vols have responded in kind with quite a history lesson for the people from Austin.
From Tex.
From Tex.
We'll just refer to them all as Tex.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, with us this morning here. Mike, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Coming up, we'll get you started as practice gets underway and a safety that has landed elsewhere in the NFL. We'll tell you about that next.
United Structural Systems is a foundation repair and waterproofing company that has served Middle Tennessee, y'all, since 1994. They have over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. So when it's hot and dry outside, like it will be today, check and see if you notice soil cracking, the pulling away from your home, leaving the holes or gaps next to the foundation, or your bricks cracking, walls blowing, doors or windows sticking. These are all signs of possible foundation issues. Your house may be trying to tell you something. It's smart to listen to it. On the waterproofing side, that can include drainage and sealers, oftentimes both. Up to 50% of your house, of the air you breathe in your house on the first floor comes from your crawl space. So control that moisture and create a healthier home for your family by encapsulating your crawl space. Mineral repairs, they are guaranteed for the lifetime of your home. Again, they've been here since 1994, USS. They aren't going anywhere. If you work with a new guy in town, guess what? There's no guarantee they'll be around to use those warranties if you switch to them. Again, we guarantee our best every single time. Call USS at 615-488-7855, and you can reach them online at ussTN.com.
Wrapping up hour number 3 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW Live on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling in a busy third hour. We'll have Ron Slade coming up in a half hour. Appreciate Mike Keith. Appreciate Bill Callahan for stopping by. If you missed either of those interviews, subscribe to the Ramon, Kayla, and Will podcast. Get that wherever you download audio. Guys, a little bit of news this morning. Kareem Jackson, one of the many safeties who has been available for people to add in NFL free agency. He has landed with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Another one off the list.
Another one off the list. He's an older safety, obviously.
Yes.
A lot of the guys on the list are still, but I am really curious as where Justin Simmons ends up at this point.
Yeah.
I really am.
He was ranked number 57 on the NFL Top 100, and he is without a team.
Yeah.
Man.
Highest ranked free agent, I believe, in the process.
At some point, the money runs dry in this free agency period that he's waiting on right now. He'll get some money, but I don't know if he's going to get exactly what he was looking for at the beginning of the offseason. So it is quite fascinating. He's not signed, but I'm not panicked over or have any worries about it, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think it will be here. You know, I know people were holding out a little hope that it could possibly be here.
I won't count it out. I'm with you.
I'm not going to count it out.
Yeah,
right.
but realization, where you at probably percent-wise? 60-40 no, 70-30 no?
Probably 40.
Yeah, 40%.
What are the odds that the Titans had anyone at safety?
Well,
because it feels like Quandre Diggs is the leader in the clubhouse from what we know from Jamal Adams talking at the podium about the Titans speaking to him, and Adams and Diggs, of course, having a previous relationship. Do you feel like the Titans are going to add a safety?
I still feel like they're shopping. I do, legitimately do, and I think there's opportunity to be had because, again, the closer you get that idea that guys want to be on the field is super important. The worst thing you can do is take this much time off if you're still trying to play.
True.
We've seen guys come back from suspensions not look like themselves until weeks later. So the earlier you can, and I don't care how old you are, unless you're just that type of savvy pro, guys like him probably need to be in and seeing the defense that they're going to be asked to play in. So I give it probably no later than after the first preseason game at this point.
Yeah, I think they still have an opening to possibly get somebody in here. I just think, if anything, just with Elijah Molden's history with the injury, I love that kid. I hope that he can stay healthy, but it's not a guarantee by any means with the track record. Right. So I think just you've got to have more depth at that spot, and I would love to see a veteran guy still on side of Amani Hooker.
Harold Landry's here.
Yes.
On the practice field today. L'Jarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, which was expected, and Jamal Adams, not out here yet.
Yeah.
Awuzie will be a couple weeks, of course. Sneed, as he has discussed and as the coaching staff has discussed, there is a plan in place for him to manage his workload, and then Adams would be a first in terms of absences for him. And you never know. They could be trying out some of the guys behind him, saying, all right, you tell us if we need a safety or not, because Rain Carthon sat at this table over here last week and said, we'll go sign somebody if we need to, but if we don't need to, we won't.
And he also acknowledged the opportunity for the young guys would be crucial. And not having veterans like Jeff Fowler or Jamal Adams, I don't think any of us question Jamal Adams' ability to play physical, right? But first day and pass for a guy like this, I think it is somewhat smart to govern what he's doing, considering he's coming off of injuries and stuff like that. So I do want to see him out here on a day like this where I know it's going to be run, and his ability to support the defense in the run game, I would have loved to seen it today. But I'm not a coach, and I don't make these type of decisions, man.
Yeah, one commenter on YouTube says, we need a new team doctor. No, it's the second week of camp, and veterans get off days when they want off days.
And sometimes those off days will come
that deep.
after a day off from practice, right?
Sure.
Like, I've seen guys say every 2 days, and at that 2-day mark, it's a day off, and you still get out of it.
Yeah, this staff is confident in its ability to keep players healthy in a way that has not been done in the past 2 years.
Correct.
Or 3-4 years
Should
even.
be encouraging, shouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up next, Bill Callahan joined us earlier this morning and said something very interesting about what practice will look like today. The man that Ron Slay and 3HL know as OL Jesus graced us with his presence. We'll give you the highlights of what he told us coming up next.
What's going on just a hair before 9 o'clock from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park? I am Robert Walsh. Titans offensive line coach Bill Callahan sat down with us this morning. If you missed that conversation, podcast is already up. If you missed that, you can go check it out on YouTube as well. Bill Callahan gave an update on NPF, who missed all of training camp due to an off-season knee scope.
I was hoping he would be back. I think we're going to push his rehab back a little bit to Friday. Hopefully we can get him back and then accelerate from there. Back in Cleveland, I had a number of tackles that, started the year on PUP. So it's that situation where it's a fine line. He's getting all the classroom walkthrough type work, but he needs to get on the field and practice, which he'll get to.
Former Titan, current Texan Nico Autry being suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's policy against performance-enhancing drugs, released a statement saying, quote, "It was important to me that the NFL know that I did not intentionally or even knowingly ingest a banned substance." Tough for the Colts defense as veteran defensive end Samson Ebukam went down in practice yesterday with a torn Achilles. Started all 17 games last year for the Colts, finishing with a career-high 9.5 sacks. And a little free agency update this morning. The Giants citing veteran guard Greg Van Roten as he started all 17 games last season for the Raiders, played over 1,000 snaps. His offensive line coach in Vegas is now his offensive line coach in New York. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. When you want me to go, Ron? Not yet. Not yet. 3, 2, 1. The Zone!
You guys are up in 3.
9 a.m., fourth and final hour of the show, getting started from Tennessee Titans training camp. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Practice beginning. Harold Landry back on the field. There is lots to take away and lots to discuss this morning with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh, Kirby Allen Kirby making the show happen. Reed Smith back at our 104.5 The Zone studios. A show this morning that has included OLJ himself, Bill Callahan, voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, and coming up in 20 minutes, 3HL and SEC Network superstar Ron Slay.
He's in the building.
In the building. Immediately with children flocking to him. The fans of Ron Slay, the Ron Slay fan club.
Yeah, man.
Real
is here,
thing,
and
man.
the Traylon Burks fan club is also here because Slay's here.
Yes.
Yes. My eyes are on him right now. Absolutely. He's here and accounted for. Man, y'all should have saw the kid run up to Savage, man. It was just like, Dad. I
love it.
I was like, no.
It's like, Dad. Oh, my God, Ramon.
I heard him say, "You're not my dad." I kid.
You're not my dad.
I kid, man. Man of the
you if you
people,
get that
baby.
reference.
So I don't hear what his wisdom teeth gone, but he's still wise.
That's right.
Man, you're looking good over here, Sly Dog.
He'll join us coming up in just a few minutes. One-on-ones, I'm told, will be happening here shortly. So we will tell you who wins and who doesn't.
Perfect.
And media will be allowed to film one-on-ones today. So you will get the routes on air that are happening right now. And then you will get one-on-ones.
I was going to say, this is like Christmas Day.
Very, very fun. Fans are here. Our esteemed security guards, Kirby Allen Kirby and Robert Walsh, keeping a clear path. Fighting.
Sammy as well. Sammy's over here.
A to Z Sports Enterprise. I wouldn't ask Sammy to fight anybody and move anyone, though. Sammy is
equal opportunity over here, Sammy.
Okay, fair enough. Sammy Kincaid then will also join the process of bullying media members who try to stand in our way so we can see some practice. But I do not think that is going to be a very successful endeavor. We're going to see a lot of backs today.
Right now it's good because we've got little kiddos in front of us, and they're sitting down.
There's
they're
a photographer
abiding
right
the rules, you know?
I know.
Never jinx a perfect game.
It's true.
Well, if you trust yourself, then right, we're okay. We're not into that.
I don't know.
Either way, a lot of bodies out here.
Pretty
man.
ball to Wiley there.
Unique how they're running this quarterback drill. All three quarterbacks have a target out here, and they're each throwing to whatever layer they were told to throw to.
Exactly.
Super fascinating, man. I like this.
There are a lot of shiny objects around us. This is going to be a fun last hour.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Lots to take away. I'm looking forward to it.
My head is scanning side to side
I know.
so bad right now, man. I'm trying to control my excitement.
I might have random outbursts of just things like I just did, just because, we're watching this live.
There you go.
We are.
Bill Callahan joined us earlier this morning and gave us some interesting insight into what practice will look like today. We talked about the specifics on, with pads going on, what you expect out of your offensive linemen and that first day of added physicality. I thought this was an interesting answer from Bill about what today will look like for them.
Last night, we were talking to the guys, and I said, look, just go out and play hard. I'm not worried about the mental assignments. So when we were scripting the runs today, we put in real simplistic concepts to let them just come off the ball.
Not worried about mental assignments. We put in simplistic things to help them just get off the ball. I'm curious, Ramon Foster, will Denard Wilson also agree to put in some simplistic concepts? Because this is where you get a little bit of instant evaluation that can lie to you a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because if the offensive line has a bad day today because they're just losing one-on-ones and they're just not winning at the point of attack, fine. We can be critical of that. But if the defense is running complicated twists and stunts and blitzes from all different directions, while the offense is just running these simple concepts, then maybe that's not all on the offensive line. That could simply just be a complicated scheme against a very vanilla scheme, because that's the way Bill wants things done today.
100%. Remember we spoke about getting the script and sharing plays and stuff like that. They will have runs fit for their team on the offense to where the defense know exactly how they may want to attack. And it may just be the forward front plus the middle linebacker, right? Kenneth Murray. It'll be that simple, but it's going to be challenging. It's going to be quick. It's going to be see ball, get ball. That's all Denard Wilson and his defense wants to do today. Like, on the days that I hate the defense is especially on the first day of practice, because they have no laws, okay? Yeah. Like, legitimately, they have absolutely no rules. They have no parameters on what they should and how hard they shouldn't hit you, okay? That's what today is going to be like for a guy like Denard Wilson. So you won't see anything super complicated. Probably a safety coming off the edge or corner coming off the edge. But as far as the complexity of it, no. They just want to get everybody's footing as far as how they want to practice and the expectation of practice, too. So that's what's super unique about having him, see a script on a day like today. It'll be straight line stuff for the most part.
So do they get more, I don't want, not complicated, but kind of see more tomorrow and then just build on it? Is it just the first day in pads, or how do you kind of gradually get into that?
And each day after this, it'll be themes. Okay. It'll be third down. Okay. It'll be, all right, we're working our set as far as we're in more nickel sets today.
The Bills camp, I saw on Twitter, it's third and long day today.
Yes.
According to OC Joe
Brady. It'll be those type of days, short yardage days. It'll be tight red zone days that you have to craft up and practice so that every player is not shocked. Like, we would do stuff and not really realize until we got the game. It's like, we worked on this during the week.
Yeah.
This is camp work right here. So camp is so long still that you're capable of really being methodical on how you set it up, Kayla.
It's a good
It's not too much too soon, because you got to think the physical side of this game, or even in track or in basketball or baseball.
Thank you for starting with track.
The Olympics are here.
About that, okay? You never have to worry about Savage is out of his mind. You never have to worry about overloading guys or over-programming the days. The days handle themselves for the most part because you got time to lay it out.
That is always interesting, and the coordinators know the script. The defensive coordinator knows what the offensive coordinator is planning for the day. It does feel like there are staffs out there in the National Football League who are going to tell their guys, all right, hey, heads have been dragging a little bit. I got guys in the back of the classroom that are a little tired. I need a little bit of pep in their step. Yep. I know what the offensive script is. I'm going to scheme to beat the offensive script, not to really help the offense. And that's always an interesting give and take, right? And we're not making excuses for the offensive line. If they're bad, we're going to tell you they're bad. If they lose one-on-ones, if John Njoku can't block Arden Key, we're going to tell you can't block Arden Key. But if they are doing more complicated things and blitzing from the edge, and they are twisting up front to try to get around. Like, there's got to be some nuance to this, right? At the beginning of the process, because Bill Callahan has told us on the record before this practice even started that it's going to look really simple and pretty vanilla today for the O-line.
But here's the unique thing about that, though, too, Will, is this. We go into the games, and what do we usually talk about? The analytic department, right? The scouts, the coaches, the people that watch film. There's some nerd in the dark room right now breaking down everything that you do, right? So everybody knows everything in general anyway, and we used to line up sometime and tell guys the ball is coming right here. So if Denard Wilson does decide to send the house at him, well, guess what? They still have to be able and capable to stop it. And it's not a matter of I'm setting you up for failure. These are game scenarios, because if I line up 2 tight ends to the right with a wide receiver to the back end, well, guess what? More times than not, they're probably throwing a play action backside pass, right? We know these tendencies that are happening. So it's not actually a surprise. It's really just putting your guys in positions to see if they can actually win, and that's what's super unique about it. As Traylon Burks, you want to go into that one right there?
Yeah, one-on-ones have begun. Traylon Burks against Jarvis Brownlee, pass not caught.
Yeah, with a break up.
And it was behind him.
Yep.
Here is Mason Kinsey on a pass from Mason Rudolph. Incomplete.
Back shoulder fade, not connecting right there. His NWI is up right now.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, give me that roster, Ramon Foster. 30 and white, please.
30 white is Tay Gowan.
And that is a catch for NWI from your boy Mason Rudolph, who said hello to you earlier this morning.
Did you get his attention ever?
I did get his attention.
Okay. I didn't see you get his attention.
Gave him the 2 fingers, man. Peace. You can take that however you want.
No, number 11.
Yeah, I gave him the number 11.
He's telling him what number he was.
And he sent back a heart, said, I love you too.
Will Levis back out there?
There's an incomplete throw from Levis looking for Phillips, and Jarvis Brownlee has gone twice, and he has not allowed a completion on 2 inaccurate passes.
You can never miss him. You don't even have to know his number because he wears yellow shoes.
Man, I love seeing Denard Wilson pacing around this practice. He got his microphone. Oh, topped him right there.
That is Kieris Jackson, another incomplete pass thrown against Trey Avery. Who's the quarterback?
That was Will Levis right there.
Levis, a couple of inaccurate passes.
Yeah.
He's not looked crisp here in one-on-ones.
Who was that on the route right there, Will?
Kieris Jackson.
Kieris Jackson did exactly like that's a win in the wide receivers room. Broke him at the line of scrimmage and topped him right there as far as getting positioning on him.
All right, one-on-ones rolling on. Here's Jaquan Jackson. Little out route. Makes the catch from...
No, ball out.
Never mind.
Wow, there's been some drops
here. You got a terrible spotter
This has
right
not
now,
been crisp. One-on-ones not crisp for the offense so far.
3-0.
Good job,
Bryce
again.
Oliver.
Bryce Oliver, but a flag comes down. We do have refs here today.
Yes, we do.
So we will get flags. We should be seeing a lot more completions with the ones on offense than we are right now.
A
lot of drops, a lot of inaccurate passes from Levis.
Levis is back up
here very early.
So on the other end right now.
He is back up. So this is what happens when a rookie has a couple of good reps. You get to go against Calvin Ridley.
Route.
There's Hopkins beating Roger McCreary.
D-Hop.
What a route.
With Levis throwing there. I'm going to stand up here to just make sure I know who is throwing. So you got Jarvis Brownlee against Tyler Boyd. Throw from Will Levis. Going to go Will route right side.
Ooh.
And very physical.
Did you get that one? Nope.
Did not get it. We'll continue this coming
Here's
up.
the guy. You want to get his update? Calvin Ridley real quick? Yeah, one more.
Let's go Calvin Ridley from Levis. Who is he going up against here?
Looks like Avery?
Trey Avery. With the Jordan 1 cleats. Ridley made that look easy.
That was smooth.
Over the middle. We'll bring Ron Slay into this. Continue to tell you what's happening out here at Tennessee Titans training camp. One-on-one periods underway. The party just beginning. Hour 4 continues.
And Caleb, flag.
Live from Titans training camp, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW on 104.5. The Zone. Whole crew here. Practice underway. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined by Ron Slay, as we are every Tuesday at 9:20. What's up, Slay?
What's happening? The whole gang in here. What up?
It's fun.
We're just essentially going to watch practice and bring you guys to our table.
That sounds good to me,
Perfect.
man. Let me say this first, though, Will, before we jump out here.
You may.
You always hear former athletes talk about how much they don't miss something and how much, good screen right here.
Read your own line blocks, man.
Jabari Small.
See, now this is the perspective you get. From the naked eye, a lot of people would have said, "Come on, Raiders, get your block." But Savage, being an old lineman, seeing now you got to run off his butt or stay with him, right? Okay,
he does. Stay behind your blockers right there. He got too eager right there, man. He had a caravan of cows in front of him. Follow the herd, man.
All right, let me finish my.
Oh yeah. What you need?
But this is what I'm saying, man. Derek Mason, you see him out here. You know what I mean? You can see the veins popping out his forearms. Savage, as much as they say they don't miss this, these are the days.
Sure.
Now, I guarantee the journey, the tread on the tires and all that.
Almost an interception from Mason Rudolph on a deflected pass over the middle.
Was that deflected by Caleb?
Twos versus twos.
No, he hit him in the head with the ball. Yeah. He just
advantage DBs early in practice.
But you, Savage, you got to tell me, man. Like I'm listening to you and Callahan talking earlier, dog. Yeah. And first and foremost, I done told you plenty of times, dude. You're not a core guy. You're a guy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a dude.
Ain't no question about it. You heard it. You know what I mean? It came from O-line Jesus, man. So when you get that stump, it's different. It's nothing like being acknowledged by your peers, man. So I just wanted to throw that out there for me.
We got to put that in our show open of Ramon Foster, and it's Bill Callahan going, we admired you for a lot of years up there in Pittsburgh, and that's all we need to do.
And you know what? That's all you really want in your playing career. Look, there go my guy again.
NWI pass complete over the middle for Mason Rudolph.
But being like just understood and just giving the pat on the back from your peers, it does matter a lot. Yeah. And Coach Callahan's been in this thing for a very long time. And when you're around and you have the respect, someone was like, okay, well, I do have my footprint in this industry, man.
I know it.
But that was a really cool moment, man, by him giving us some time because he's a very methodical person, it seems like, out here.
Yeah, no question about it.
He's really cool to think, like, he can sit down and be that chill with us, and then he can go out on the field. You've all heard him during practice. Yeah. I mean, it's like another level.
Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is, okay? When you get into your environment, it's a switch that goes on. Beautiful pass.
Kieras Jackson, 20-yard ball over the middle, complete from Mason Rudolph with Gabe Judy Lally in coverage and a zone defense there.
I'll say something about that, too. I know Mason well, but that's one thing he's going to do. Take was there, and one thing that he said he worked on the same thing Will Levis in the offseason was his feet. Remember, I told you guys early on, Mason's feet were just scattered everywhere. And you watch Will Levis now, he's got a nice base to him. He's concise in his movements. Yeah. Like the lowers do have to work with the uppers, and Coach Mack bringing that up all the time. You're not an athlete if you can't control your lower body to make it, be in line with the upper body aspect of your career, man. So, fascinating.
That's right, we got ones versus ones.
Ones versus ones are back out there. Harold Landry is on the field. Trey Avery and Jarvis Brownlee working with the first-team defense at corner at the moment.
Look at Kush.
Test this offensive line a little bit. And
my bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
Cushenberry.
The reason I got hyped.
Not a lot there for the offense.
Can I tell you why I got hyped?
Talk to us.
He had Devondre on his hip. And I thought he was about to finish it.
Get him on over.
I thought he was about to finish him. So you can't miss that, okay?
Devondre Sweat looks like a giant in pads.
It's what we expected.
Yeah, he's as advertised.
He is as advertised, man. It's good seeing Harold out here.
Yes.
Yeah, and he looks explosive early on, at least. I mean, he lost a little weight, like Brian said, but looks fine.
Well, one thing I will assess about Devondre is this. Immediately coming out of his pass, he's high.
Here's Levis. Pressure from the right side. Landry just got right by.
We got a little action.
Ooh, action over here with Brownlee and Kinsey.
Landry beat John Ajuku very quick off the snap.
Little fake outside, go inside. Yeah.
What I saw on the left side was Devondre Sweat and Peter Skoronski, and Peter worked on everything it looked like Bill Callahan has taught him. Had his arms extended back.
We got a little shoving here.
back extended, man, and he was stopping the bull rush right there.
Jeffrey Simmons joining the offensive huddle, and Dylan Radins kind of pawed at him and said, you get back over there on your defensive side.
When you look at it, man, this is one. First of all, we're going to be drinking out of fire hose right here.
Yeah, sure are. Y'all just bear with us.
Bear with us.
We're going to give you all the info we can.
My excitement for today was to watch, not the defensive line. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course, iron sharpening iron, but the proactiveness, you know what I mean, from the offensive line. Like you saw it last week with no pads, and
there it is. Levis going deep. NWI. Open, caught.
You know what, though?
30-yard bomb there.
I want to go back 2 seconds.
Yes.
Sack.
Yeah. It was all around.
And we're getting into it. We got what is it?
I believe that is J.C. Latham in the middle of that mix. With Jeffrey Simmons is going.
Yeah, and guess what? Guess what, y'all? That's what I was just about to lead into. Last week, you could feel a lot of that.
Yeah.
When you put the pads on, that's what I want to see from the O-line. No back down. Because you got some monsters. You got some monsters, if you will, on the interior, on the defense, and they already proven and established. So you want to jump in this? I saw it from Peter last week. I like that. You know what I mean? And guess what his homeboy did to sit to the left of him?
What'd he do?
Roll with him.
You better.
You know what I'm saying? So I need to see the entire line
absolutely
do that together.
And we didn't have a lot of that last year.
No.
There wasn't much of that. And you're already seeing. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So now we're going to see if Jeff's going to play Punisher or not.
Here we go.
See what the get back looks like right here.
He's got on him right
Jeff
now.
was not taken out of practice. He was not benched.
Didn't have to go to the sandpit.
One's still on there. That's right. We got guys on the ground, and Peter Skronsky just put Jeffrey Simmons on the ground.
Got another one.
Tajay Spears getting loose.
Y'all got a cake in the back.
Tajay Spears with a lot of yardage, and here we go.
We got a
fight.
They're in a pile.
Mason Kinsey right there.
They're fighting.
We got this.
That would go.
This is a legitimate.
We so back.
But and let's say this. Let's say this. Let's say this
punches.
though. This is not a fight.
No.
This is never a fight. This is practice, and it's some pushing and shoving. Like you see this on the basketball court, preseason. I'm sure in baseball they get testament to it. It's the same thing in football, man. This is the hot, bothered, tired season, man, and the excitement is there. Fans watching. You got to get me. I got to get you. Let's get it on.
Simmons helmet off again, chirping. He is not back down.
This is where Jeff also said he wanted to grow too. You know what? But like. Pulling this back, and I'm not critical, Jeff. It's just today's the first day in pads.
Yeah.
But in his position, whatever he do, the rest of them gonna do. You know why I thought I was gonna be a world-class basketball player?
Talk to me,
It's because Ron Slade was one, and as my elder. Okay, I thought this was going to be the case, and now it look like Coach is about to have a conversation.
So offense and defense, or the defense is huddling up, the offense is separated. DeAndre Hopkins was in there talking with Simmons too, and then they started just shoving a little bit. Nothing crazy, but that is as aggressive as we've seen a Titans practice in a while.
Listen, man, we talked about mindset, we talked about mentality, we talked about the guys that you hear talking coming out of the preseason, coming out in the offseason, in the spring, and what their mentality was.
Right.
If you think for 1 second that this defense is not supposed to act this way, with a guy like Denard Wilson after giving them all the props, this is a reflection of your coach. This is what it's supposed to be. And vice versa, if you think an old school cat that's tooth and nail gonna scrap, that was just sitting down with y'all in the 8 o'clock hour, Bill Callahan going to allow his O-line to go like that?
Right.
Y'all sound like a fool as well.
Right.
So that's how it's supposed to be, man.
One quick note I will give you, because Buck Rising is closer to the referees watching practice right now. As you got to run up the middle here, wide open for Hassan Haskins. The Red Sea parted right there for the twos.
Third running back position.
Real quick, the ref said that Jeff would have been tossed for the first exchange with J.C. Latham, so that was communicated, according to Buck, who's closer, obviously without the headset on, to practice going on in front of us. Said he would have been out, and then the next play he got right back in the brawl. So. I think Jeffrey Simmons got to lock it in just a little bit.
He does, and what happened on the second, remember I said to y'all before the play, okay, what does Jeff do? And Jeff took it out on Peter Skronsky right there.
And Peter
had laid on him. He laid on Peter right there. But I thought it was Mason Kinsey and either Arden Key or Rashad Weaver on the ground to initiate that one, too. So bodies on the ground is not productive for practice, man. And Coach Bill Callahan looked like he ripped the defense.
Another side.
On this one, too. That's a long delay for a screen.
Screen from Malik Willis to Jabari Small. Defense all over it.
But Coach Callahan also ripped this team for having this. You can't fight in practice. There's no production in this. Now, I know there's a lot of just testosterone going on right now out here, but this ain't a productive practice if you allow this to happen every single play. And that's where, to me, and having that conversation with Jeff and growing and being a leader, like, he can lead and be aggressive without dragging everybody else with him too, you know?
Yeah, and they separated them, and they had a chat with the defense, so obviously it's been good here right now for the last few plays that we've seen. So
you got to understand, too, man, in these situations, what you want from that nice. Controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Controlled chaos. Hello.
See?
Physical
you hear
from
it. You hear it.
Now, here we go.
Oh, here we
Thomas
go. Chip it.
Odakoya
Chipping
with
on
a
the
little
side.
bit of a stiff arm and a pass complete in the
See, that's some thudding right there.
Yeah.
That's some,
Should have been able to hear that.
Through our mics.
That's some good thudding right there. You got to love that part right here. This is football, man.
So far, the offensive line looks good, Ramon.
They do look good. They had their spots. I know Savage pointed out. No, you pointed out that Ojoku got by Arden Key. Harold Landry off the edge, and that's why I said you can't. I want to see him compete. I want to see him be aggressive. And if he lost, did he come back and win the next rep too? You know, those are the things we're looking for right now in his evaluation.
Twos back out there. Willis leading the twos at the moment. He was ahead of Mason Rudolph here, guys.
Yeah.
Which is one interesting note because Mason Rudolph has been the guy first up right after Will Levis for the majority of these reps. Perhaps you could argue Malik Willis is earning a closer look with the twos, even though I believe that is Mason Rudolph's job.
I think that's the threes right there.
Yeah, I think that was
threes right there.
So they went from ones to threes.
Yeah,
they switched right after Levis.
Yep. I think it went Levis, it went Mason, it went Levis, and then it went back to Malik.
Wait, what?
All right. Well, we have got some.
That's what happens in real time.
Reed, we are hearing you in our ears. Did you say that over the air or to us? You did not say that over the air. Okay. Reed Smith telling us that there is a report out there about a potential suspension.
From practice?
Paul Kaharski reporting that Titans outside linebacker Arden Key is facing a 6-game suspension for a violation of the rules against performance-enhancing drugs.
Geez, so Autry yesterday with the Texans, and now Danico or Arden Key today with the Titans. Jeez,
that's tough.
That is a tough one to hear, guys, especially
Paul
at that
Kaharski
position.
Reporting he is currently on the field, which obviously we can confirm. We can see him. Says he is not among the players scheduled to speak today. However, he is facing a 6-game PED suspension. Again, that report from Paul Kaharski on the Titans outside linebacker. Guys, outside linebacker just, I think, became the priority ahead of safety in terms of where this team needs help.
I think we already talked about getting some depth there, right? And now with one of your guys that you expected to be a 3-down guy this year, and now this happens with 6 games, that's a chunk they're going to have to add.
Yeah, that's tough too, man, because we led into it yesterday with Danico missing and what that'll mean for Houston, and then you come on the back end and it's like, woo, we dodged one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here it is right there at your desk.
Wow.
So going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. A lot of times that gets knocked down, Savage.
Yep.
Yeah, so
it can, and it's a matter of how they go about in the appeals process of it. Right now, the O-line and D-line are going at it one-on-ones, by the way.
Interception there.
Will Levis has thrown an interception to Matthew Jackson, the pride of Hillsborough High School.
But that suspension is detrimental to him for sure, but also for the Titans too. I mean, the depth at that position is something we've spoken about numerous times, and you can't allow that to be the case. Oh, Harold Dip on Ojoku right there was masterclass.
So to paint the picture again, we've got one-on-ones with the big guys going on to our left, and then we've got 7-on-7 happening with first-teamers to our right as the first-team offense. And 7-on-7 works against the first-team defense.
Is that also explains the Shane Ray signing also last week?
It could be. That's absolutely right.
Yep.
I would say, I mean, again, Shane Ray, probably a guy that is still on the outside looking in of making the team, considering he's not played since 2018. I think at this point, Ren Carthon told us when training camp started and when he spoke to the media that he has already talked with GMs about guys that probably aren't going to make their teams that are going to be made available. I imagine Ren Carthon has picked up the phone already to talk to some of those GMs about some of their edge rushers.
I'll tell you this about Shane Ray. His chances have gotten just slightly better.
That's all you need.
Best ability is always what, y'all?
Availability.
So who benefits Shane Ray does, obviously. Rashad Weaver is now a starting outside linebacker.
And we still haven't seen a lot from him. Like, he needs to really take a step here in these opportunities that he's going to get.
And Slay, too. I mean, that's again, the negative. I know Denico Autry has a 6-game suspension as well, but you had a versatile D lineman last year who could fill in for you on the inside and on the outside.
That's right.
And you no longer have them.
Yeah, so you lose. It's a 2-for-1 right there. And then, you might as well add a 3 in with losing Arden Key. So you're trying to fill those different roles. That's why it's important also, like, to lean back on what Savage was saying. You got to get some productive practices in right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
With that happening, you really need Tavondre to come along.
Man.
You need Marlon Davis and those guys to come along, because if your interior can cover up for some of that you're going to be missing from the outside, you don't put as much pressure on a guy like Rashad Weaver to have to step up. You know what I mean? He can still take his steps. You know what I mean? You don't need to expedite anything. So it's going to be interesting, man. You really got to hone in on what you're doing.
I'll have a conversation with you guys off air before I bring it here, but that's super fascinating. Those two individuals, one day after the other, catching a suspension.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I will say this as someone who really benefits from this, and someone who I think has looked impressive in his first training camp, is Jalen Harrell, the rookie out of Michigan. I think that guy's got a really big opportunity to step into Arden Key's role and make the most of added reps. I think he's looked pretty decent. And then Caleb Murphy, kid out of Ferris State as well.
Yeah, we've heard his name a couple times since last year.
By the way, J.C. Latham at left tackle. He's won the last two. The first one here, I think he got Arden Key pretty good on that one. His ability to move out of his stance is there. And Jeff and Peter Skoronsky going at it. That's a win. That's a win for both teams. It was the bull rush, the pressure to get back, and Jeff. And also Peter stopping him
Josh
right
Wiley
there.
with a deep catch.
By the way, explain really quick to people who don't understand, why is Arden Key out here if he's suspended 6 games? He can still practice.
He can still practice. It doesn't kick in until week 1 of the regular season. Now, what's going to happen at some point, his reps in the preseason games and then practice is going to probably get dialed back, because Will brings up the rookie, Jalen Harrell, right? And Rashad Weaver. These guys need these real reps early. And I'll have to check and see the rules if he can be in the building for those 6 weeks while he's suspended too, because I know the NFL has gotten away just shipping guys out.
Nicholas Petit-Frere, with the suspension for gambling, was able to be out here last year. He moved into like third team reps last year because of that. Exactly.
Ain't productive for a guy
because he
like
wasn't
him.
going to be on the field.
Yep.
Fair to say, guys, through the first team period, that with the 1s, the defense was better, and then with the 2s and 3s, the offense has been better. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
Yep.
Slay?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I think it's pretty even between both units.
Yeah, see, my thing is, man, with the 1s, I'm just looking for the fight. So I'm kind of missing the.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? The breakdown of it, the fundamentals of everything. I'm just looking for the fight up front.
I'd like Brownlee early.
And I like what I see. Even though some people getting got, you know what I mean? I like what I see early, man, and that's gonna be crucial. That center guard triangle. If you can get that, now we need to find that right guard that's gonna make some things happen, because I think Cushenberry and Pete, man, I'm so impressed by Peter Skoronsky, dog. Like,
me too.
Yeah,
this is all right with me.
Someone came over and said, "How big is Pete? How much weight did he gain?" Yeah, he looks bigger. I mean, he lost all that weight because of that appendectomy last year. He looks good though.
Y'all see this dog right here lining up close to us? His name's Traylon Burks.
Yes, it is. Your
we'll
dog
watch this
right
snap,
here.
and then we will take a quick pause. First team offense back out there. Traylon Burks working against Roger McCreary, and a pass dropped, or no. Was that dropped or not?
No,
I think that was dropped.
Caught that. Caught it.
Nick Vanette.
Just went down quick.
Over the middle. More practice coming up as we wrap up the show. Ron Slay hanging out with us here on RKW. More next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Letting you know our friends at Hiller, they are celebrating 34 years in business this year. And they're bringing the celebration to you with their birthday bash this month until, y'all, July 31st. Y'all got to get in before tomorrow, all right? Where you can get a free smart thermostat with select new HVAC systems, free water tests, and also free leak detection and shut-off valves with tankless water heaters. And if you buy 10, you get 2 free landscaping lights, and Hiller will help you install them. Again, celebrate Hiller's birthday month. 34 years, man. Happy birthday. You can get more details at happyhiller.com.
Wrapping up the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, as Tennessee Titans training camp practice continues from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. The Buck Rising Show has everything you need to know coming up next. A scuffle between Jeffrey Simmons and let's just say it would be easier for us to tell you who was not in the scuffle. At the beginning of padded practice, expected when pads come on. But the big news of the morning, first reported by Paul Kaharski, paulkaharski.com. Arden Key expected to receive a 6-game suspension for a violation of the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. Guys, what else have we seen during the break? Ramon, you've been watching the one-on-ones with the big guys.
I have. John Njoku's got to have a good bounce back, man. Harold Landry's has a good amount of work on him. Peter Skoronski looks significantly better than he did last year. His ability to stop, the rush is there, man. Jalen Harold's getting a lot of rep, the young rookie at outside linebacker, for those wondering about that position.
Sure.
I'm encouraged by it. And I'll say this, too, just the skill level of watching Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yeah, I've heard you say his name a couple times.
Has been really good. You can understand. I'll say this. On day one of this process, my eyes on him for the first time, it looked like money well spent.
Mm-hmm. I do want to ask about that outside linebacker spot, though. I really do feel like this was the year that Arden needed to kind of prove he could be, again, that 3-down type of player. Mm-hmm. We've already questioned the depth at that spot. How big is it now for these young guys? You mentioned a couple of them early on in last segment to get the opportunity to step up. And what happens if you don't get that production?
Well, they'll find ways. That's the thing about a defense. It can be a party at the football at all times. Like the same way that we spoke about this team hiding left tackles by helping with chip work, there's blitzes that can be had. And also just this, man, what better motivation do you have for a guy like Rashad Weaver, who's in his contract year, that is now going to have a strong ability to start? Like, you can't ask for a better situation for this guy. So it's him, it's Shane Ray, it's Jalen Harold. I'm probably missing one or two guys that are out there, too, as far as just the opportunity. But here's the other thing, too. Coaches are always, and GMs are always kicking tires on whoever's available. There may be somebody on the street that's going to come in and give some assistance to it. But all in all, it's a spot to where this is where guys beg, cry, bust their butts, and demand opportunities.
Here it is.
What better one can you ask for right now?
So the outside linebackers who are currently on the roster then, aside from Arden Key, you have Rashad Weaver, Jalen Harold, Shane Ray, Harold Landry, Khalid Duke, Thomas Rush, Caleb Murphy.
Yep.
Need some help.
Need some help.
A lot of
somebody step up.
Today on the practice field, the offense has not been sharp. They have not been crisp. Will Levis has thrown his second interception of camp on a pass to Matthew Jackson in the last team period. Defense with a significantly better day, I would say, in team and 7-on-7 than the offense, although not all of that has been on the offensive line. I think it's some of the runs and in some of the sets that they have had to protect Levis. The O-line has not been the biggest issue today. Levis has not been sharp.
Biggest play, Hassan Haskins up the middle?
I would say that, or the catch for Nick Westbrook-Akine about 30 yards down the right side of the field. Tyler Boyd had another one over the middle of the field as well. But too many balls on the ground during one-on-ones, a period where the offense has a significant advantage over the defense. Titans did not take advantage. The defense was making a lot of breakups on Levis. And Levis, again, you make your own judgments on if it's meaningful or not. I'm simply going to tell you what we've seen. Levis has not been up to the standard he needs to be today. He's not been great.
I think everything kind of looked chaotic this morning, and I don't know if that's you get the pad. And that's what I'm going to ask. Ramon, do you remember your first practice ever when you get back in pads after the offseason? And is it kind of like this?
It can be like this, which is why Coach Bill Callahan said, we're going to keep this thing as simple as possible. The issue that they had, though, was the extracurricular fighting and stuff like that, man. That ruins the spirit of it, because at some point, one team, somebody got to back up. Right? Like, that's what we speak about in those fighting moments right there, is somebody has to pull off a little bit, and it ruins the spirit of practice whenever you have. And on a scale of 1 to 10, that was about a 6.5, 7.
There was a couple of them.
Do you blame Jeffrey Simmons there? A little bit of a scuffle on one play, fine. Talked a little bit after the play. Does Jeffrey Simmons need to rise above that then on the second play, right after the scuffle had started, he then went after J.C. Latham and Peter Skronsky, and that's when everything really started.
He has to have a reaction to it, but it can't be that far. But also in that play, too, you had Arden Key also hitting a guy on the ground.
Right.
So them two dudes right there, the two most senior guys that's been around for a while, those two dudes cannot have that happening, man, to your point. So, yes, if we can praise him when he does something good, we got to be able to call it out in the sense of, I know you're passionate. Nobody's ever knocked Jeffrey Simmons or Arden Key on the passion, hard working, etc. But in the confines of practice against your own teammates,
got to rise above that.
You got to rise up. And that don't mean, Kayla, I take a step back. No, I'm going to give you this work again. But instead of pushing Peter Skronsky to where Jeffrey was pretty much 180, right on there, like leaning into him, like just show him that you got it. I'm pro enough to move forward and have you be a protector, because this is an iron sharpened iron camp. This team has a lot of new different moving parts, and you got to be in a position where you have everybody available. And fighting where you can break a hand or on the ground tripping somebody up or hitting somebody's ankles ain't the best way to go about it.
Commenter on YouTube says most senior guys, this is only Arden's second year. Well, he's a senior guy in this league.
Yeah.
He's a veteran player. It doesn't matter how long he's been here. He's one of the few veteran players you have at the pass rush position.
He should know better, right?
That's what and we always see the fire out of those two, absolutely. But I have not seen that in like a while here in terms of practice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mike Vrabel would have thrown him out of the sand pit after the first time.
That is very true.
Because once the referees came in and said, okay, you're going to be ejected, Brian Callahan allowed Jeffrey Simmons to continue practicing. I do not think Mike Vrabel would have. I think Mike Vrabel, the first time before it got ugly, would have said, sandpit, go over there.
Sure. And he was there last year with Arden was there and Jeff.
I know.
Early
I think,
on
unfortunately, the theme today over the last hour, to quote Mike Vrabel, has been dumb bleep to hurt the team. Between Arden Key's 6-game suspension and a scuffle with veteran guys that need to be a little bit better than that. I don't think it's overreacting to say it's been a little bit of a disappointing day for some important Titans veterans.
And one of y'all saw, I didn't see it, but I know punches were being thrown, but y'all said
it was.
That's the easiest way to break a hand and end up on pup.
It was a fight.
Yeah.
It was
hitting the helmet with the hand.
Yeah. It was a fight. They were shoving, they were swinging, and that's training camp.
I'll be better for it.
Wild, dude.
I ain't mad at it.
I mean, it makes for an exciting first day, but
nothing to get too worked up about. But it's training camp. It's day one, and tomorrow we do it all again, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounds good.
Back at it from Titans training camp tomorrow. The Buck Rising Show has you covered up next with everything you need to know about practice today. Ramon Foster, send us home.
You must remember, good people, at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.